So, like I said, I thought it was a good week in Coronation Street this week. I gave it a couple of bangings on our Street Talk shorts. Just bog standard today. I thought it dipped towards the end of the week, but there were some great little mysteries set up on Monday and Wednesday's episode. And I do like a good mystery on Coronation Street. Well, you're looking pensive. What are you thinking?
No.
No? Nothing?
I just got a stomachache.
Oh my gosh, what are we like? So, storyline titles for this week. We have got The Groomer Looms is back again. Nathan, he's back, he's down. But who was it? It was Gary. Next, we have got... that was just a little summary of that story. Moving on. New Kit on the Block.
Okay, good one.
Yeah, I went through like a million storyline titles for that, like Kit, Kid, and... Or Kid, Kid, or
you
something like that.
You must be kitting me.
Winter Sun.
No.
I had loads. They were all pretty dreadful. But New Kit on the Block. I don't know. Has he actually been called Kit on the show yet? Has he been referred to as that? By whom?
I'm sure.
Because he's just Christopher Green at the moment, isn't he? But I couldn't think of any good storyline titles with that. Oh, Hunter Green, is that a thing? Because Bernie was hunting him down. It's a
very nice colour.
Yeah. We had a bit more of the Leanne story. That's coming up next. She's off on a retreat. Webster's Website is next. We definitely at one point in time had the storyline title Worldwide Webster for some internet related. I think that was when Sally was doing something online, so I couldn't really use that one again. Webster's got a website. Corey's back in apparently.
Where's
or at least
the rants and bants?
We have got the Demi Moore storyline, which was the absolute standout brilliance from Friday's episode, and I've got a new name for the Glenda and George story, Ill Will, because it's about a will, and there is ill will between the siblings. That was on Monday's episode, but Groomer Looms first. So Monday's, it was basically that this story this week was the who beat up Nathan, wasn't it? But Wednesday was when that happened. Monday it focused a little bit more on what's going on with Roy. The Roy everyone seems to have forgotten about Roy by Wednesday's episode because something a lot more exciting happened with Nathan getting kicked a bit. So, but anyway, there's still he had a little mini kick in, didn't he? Yeah. But Monday it's still all about trying to clear Roy's name and prove that he didn't do it. I think they're giving up on the necklace a bit too soon. He draws this beautiful picture of a necklace. Next episode, Dee Dee's like, well, couldn't find anyone to recognise the necklace, so screw that for a lead. So Roy, draw us something better next time. He
explains why he thought it was relevant in any way. It's like, don't ask me why.
I just thought really hard, looked on the wall,
projections of it.
Saw Lauren wearing a necklace, drew it. I mean, let me out now.
What does it mean? So what? What do you mean? I don't get it. Like,
no,
nobody really asked him.
It was because
it's not in the flat.
It was because he knew that the necklace came from the boyfriend, didn't he? So they were trying to track down the boyfriend. But really, I think that Dee Dee gave up far too soon with that lead. And if it doesn't come to anything, then it's just going to feel like that whole thing feels like filler. But they do that sometimes. Yep. I'm still not convinced that the Toya baby digging up drama was anything but filler.
Hang on.
It did get a cursory mention this week.
Yeah, I think everybody's a bit annoyed about that, to be frank.
Well, they were annoyed about it at the time, just for the fact that it is a massive retcon in most people's eyes. I was kind of trying to fight its corner, saying, well, it's not bothered me. I don't really understand why. Great performance from Georgia Taylor. Looking forward to where this is going to go next. It has literally gone nowhere.
Yep.
If it's still clearly going towards an affair with Nick and Toya, it seems, but that hasn't happened yet. But if all it was the kind of, it's pointless. It's utterly, completely pointless.
It's a waste of
unless
time.
The baby being buried and Toya's grief over that actually manifests in some kind of meaty way for the rest of the year. But apart from the character saying, oh, Toya, she's a bit sad. Oh, Toya's grieving at the moment. There's been nothing.
Well, I keep thinking, if you guys are on Twitter and part of the Corey fandom on Twitter, you'll probably have seen tweets from Script to Scene. And she's very good at analysing things and talking about not just Coronation Street, but different movies and things as well, and TV shows. But one thing that she said was that she was in I'm going to get all of the details wrong, but she was in some kind of like workshop for writing or something, listening in on people talking about something like that. And Ian McLeod was part of it. And one thing he said, was that and I might be misquoting this, but this is the gist. Every story, he wants it to be taken to the extreme. Like, Every time you have a
I
story,
didn't see this.
every time
tweet.
you have a story, you need to push it as far as it will possibly go, right? And I can see the appeal of that to a certain extent, but do you not think that almost every single problem Coronation Street has at the moment can kind of be rooted back to that sensationalising and pointlessly pushing things beyond any reasonable...
So
you know what I mean?
Creating drama out of nothing.
Well, no, it's like you can't just have a story about this. It's got to be this and this and this and this and this. And it can't just be like, oh, they're having relationship problems. No, one of them's got to bugger off to Spain. One of them's got to go skydiving with a footballer. You know, can't just be that Toya and Leanne fall out because Leanne's joining a cult, which is a totally normal and completely understandable and relatable story. It has to be that they're falling out because Toya's sad because she had a stillborn baby 20 whatever years ago and buried it under a rose bush.
At the moment, it just feels like that rosebush storyline is an idea that Ian McLeod has had, and is like, I'm leaving soon.
I've got to go.
I'm determined to get that because that's a really good idea, I think. And
it isn't really.
And he's getting it out the door before he leaves. So I don't know. It's there's clearly still a lot of legs left in the Nick Leanne Toya storyline, so I'm hoping that they will prove what the purpose of bringing up this big revision, retcon, whatever you want to call it is. At the moment, it's still not clear. So this Groomer Loom story then. So
yeah, as we're talking through all the different storylines, I just want you to bear in mind that like concept of pushing everything to the most extreme it can be, and think, how many times have you seen that happen in Coronation Street, and how many times has that obsession with pushing things beyond a reasonable boundary, how many times has that been to the detriment actually, and how often can you genuinely do that on a soap? I get doing it on like Game of Thrones or another TV show because I don't really watch very many of them. But like, what on a soap you can't do that every day.
No,
you
it just
can't.
gets completely unrealistic. It can't be grounded in reality.
Exactly, a soap like even William Roach will even argue about it being a soap. He calls it a kitchen sink drama. In the world of Ian McLeod, and it wouldn't be a kitchen sink drama. It would be a bloody swimming pool inside your house that's got a shark in it. It's trying to eat you while you're trying to do your dishes.
No, that is an image. So I think that's a good one. Right. So can we get on?
Yes, you can. Sorry.
No, that was
that's just been going around in my head for a while.
Like a shark in a swimming pool.
Shark infested custard.
So Bethany has been a bit of a fibber at the beginning of the week because she's told Daniel that she slept on this whole Nathan thing. If you remember last week, she had the encounter with him at the precinct, but she's like, no, you know what? I'm gonna let the police do their thing. I'm not gonna have anything to do with them anymore. But she looks mightily suspicious at the end of the scene, like she's gonna be up to something. And yep, she she comes back later. It's Dee Dee first. This is when Dee Dee has her little breakthrough in the case of the week. She's managed to convince the police to get the phone company to let her read Lauren's messages on her phone. She won't say what though. She doesn't want to. She's not like Craig. Was it this week that Craig has his big secret that he revealed to Bethany after about 10 seconds of her going, oh, go on, Craig. It wasn't it?
What secret?
The thing about I can't even remember what it was now. I'm sure we'll come to it. Yeah, well, I don't know. But anyway, Dee Dee's like, no, I'm not going to get struck off by divulging the details of Lauren's phone messages. So, but I do know them, and that's that. And this is where Bethany... I really think that Lucy Fallon needs to be directed to tone down the secret listening in acting, don't you? they show these shots of it. I can't do it on the podcast. It's literally her. It's like the Grinch, isn't it? Standing outside his house and craning with his ear and going, whoa. This is Bethany at the Rovers whenever she has some juicy gossip about the Lauren story going along. Like, why does nobody notice her? Honestly, so.
She's so inconspicuous.
She's megaing. So, considering she's supposed to be a top undercover investigative reporter, she needs to work on her stealth, doesn't she?
She could do better, yeah.
What was that word that she didn't know the meaning of as well today? There was
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
There was an expression that she said, and what does blah actually mean? And it was
I was like, yeah, okay.
common word.
I think you should
Anyway,
probably...
so Bethany, who is not in any way getting involved in this case, oh yes she is, heads over to the lawyer's office to see Dee Dee. She's not there, but Adam says, oh, don't worry about it. You can wait here while until Dee Dee comes back. So Bethany immediately takes the opportunity to have a good snoop and a root about in the papers. Now, I don't know how she was able to find what she was looking for so quickly, because I thought that with Alia over in Dublin, everything was just a massive
chaos.
paper pile and bundles of paperwork all over the place. But she was able to, it was just there on the desk.
Dee Dee's gimmick used to be that she was really bad at organising and clumsy.
Yeah.
Then her gimmick for like 3 episodes was she talks to herself out loud.
Oh yeah.
And now, what is it that she's great at organising?
She's just great at everything at the moment. But yeah, so she's found these papers when Dee Dee comes up, and Bethany's like, oh, nothing, I'm not doing anything. She asks Dee Dee if she would have a case against the police for sending that thingy about Nathan being out of prison to the wrong address. Clearly she's just kind of bluffing, and she's trying to explain what she's doing there. Explain away, hide what she was doing there. But Dee Dee's like, well, if you have proof that you told them that you were moving, maybe. Bethany's like, never mind, hurries off. She's apparently found whatever it was she was looking for. Dee Dee, now that she is not useless at organising papers, comes back and finds Bethany in the cafe later and says, oi, you've been looking through my private documents and not putting them back in the correct pile. What are you on? What are you like? Bethany says that I just had to look through those phone transcripts. I know how Nathan speaks. I know what his text messages look like. I just wanted to check if they sounded like him. Maybe like Nathan maybe he puts a little X at the end of his messages, or maybe just really likes emojis, or maybe he does every word starting with a capital letter. That'd be a giveaway, wouldn't it?
Oh God! my signature is I do a monkey with it hiding its eyes.
You do like that one, don't you? That is a top emoji for you, the monkey with the eyes. I quite like. I'm quite partial to the smiley face with the sweat drop.
Yeah, you like doing that.
I don't really know what it means, but I think I'm using it right every
the
single
monkey
time.
one to me is like ha 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 ha.
I'm like
I'm covering my face, so I'm so happy. But it doesn't mean I see no evil. I see it everywhere.
You see, yeah, just like Bethany.
There's
Nathan. There he is again. I'm
always hearing evil.
So she's like, I just wanted to know, did this sound like Nathan? Because the police are thinking at the moment that this is Roy who sent these messages, aren't they?
Yes.
But Bethany's like, well, I've had a look and it clearly wasn't Roy, because like me, he's a bit of a pedant for grammar and spelling and everything, and whoever this was spelt discreet wrong. What a amateur that would be. Roy would never do that. Neither would Daniel, come to think of it. So she thinks, well, look, clearly it wasn't either of those two nerds.
We get the forensic grammar nerds out, shall we?
Well, Swain's not convinced when Dee Dee goes to see her later that a couple of typos and a string of text is going to prove that person wasn't Roy. And it kind of ends there, doesn't it, that little lead? But I think that's a strong case. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, no, whenever I Google something, my thumb always puts a full stop instead of a space, right? Because they're next to each other on my keypad, and I always Google stuff with a full stop between each letter, each word, and I'm just waiting for the murder that I'm going to do, and they're going to catch me out, because it definitely was me that Googled how to murder your husband or whatever it is.
What? Well, I think that, it's one of those things, again, that we know that Roy would probably never dream of sending a grammatically incorrect text message, but I don't think that Swain would be swayed by that.
Swain doesn't care. This is what Dee Dee's going to need to use in his defence. This is more useful for building a defence for the court case, rather than... Because Swain, like I said, Swain don't care now. She's got her man.
I know, yeah. She's, as far as she's concerned, they're just waiting it out until the court case in a couple of weeks. But Dee Dee thinks that she's got something there of maybe that's going to be good enough to get him off. I still, it's Britain's Got Talent week in a couple of weeks, isn't it? It's feeling like maybe it's leading up to this Roy story coming to a head there. Do you think we'll know in a couple of weeks' time whether who's got Lauren?
Yes.
I hope we do. I've enjoyed the mystery, But if they don't reveal it on Britain's Got Talent week, I think that they're really just stretching it out for no good reason. It'll if they've gone past the week and we don't know who it is, it'll be like, oh come on, so when's it going to be then? You're not going to wait till Super Soap week, are you? Surely this is going to be the perfect time. Maybe it'll be. I'm thinking maybe it could even be a reveal, like the final scene of the week. Maybe might be, and there she is. You know,
Dead.
Not dead. Maybe dead.
Do you
Probably
remember
not
when
dead.
Bobby came in the show?
Yes, we haven't seen much of him recently. It's been great.
And part of the sort of the what's the word gumph about him was he's going to be a major part of the year's most exciting storyline, and it's going to be to do with Carla and Lauren and
Bethany.
And I was like, yeah, he's been. Where is he then? He wasn't even a major part, was he? Really? He just stuck a spanner in the works.
He has been at times. I think most characters in this story so far have been fairly big at times, but there hasn't been a consistent.
It's not a main one, is there?
Hero or villain in it. Yeah, Bethany's has her weeks when it's been her in the spotlight,
true.
and then she's been quiet. Carla, same. Bobby, Max. Evelyn to some
Nina.
extent. Nina, exactly. They're just not a united front. Maybe if they all got together and tried really, really hard, they'd be able to crack this damn case.
I know, that's what's missing, isn't it? There's no kind of like HQ and somebody with a piece of, I
suppose the closest is downstairs in Roy's.
String.
Yeah, the closest is downstairs in Roy's cafe. But yeah, I don't know who I'm rooting for here to try and save Roy. I'm just rooting for. Maybe Dee Dee feels like the most consistent one all the way through. I'm not really sure.
I know, but Dee Dee, honestly, I mean, best one in the world. She's a lovely girl. She's a very good Christian woman, but she don't give two tosses about Roy, does she? She don't even bloody know him.
She does.
She doesn't know him from Adam.
Yes,
I'd be like,
she does work for Adam, so.
Professionally, I'm annoyed because I didn't get my case, but equally, I don't even know who this guy is. Except he charges £4.50 for rice and
Dee Dee, she loves a good cream horn. I bet she's down that cafe every day. Wouldn't you be tempted? Literally, you work about 30 seconds stroll from there. You'd be in that cafe. You'd have an appreciation for Roy.
Woman and you sit next to a Chinese takeaway. I know about temptation.
No, of course Dee Dee wants to save Roy for more than just professional reasons.
I didn't say that she didn't. I'm just saying she doesn't really care about him as a person.
I don't think that. She's
really?
She doesn't
know him.
Oh, come on. She's been living on that street for what? 2 years now? Everybody knows everybody intimately.
So, you don't know...
Within 30 seconds.
Whatever.
No, I think you're...
That's a bizarre thing for you to say.
No, I think that you're going bizarre. Who's right?
She's not his friend.
No, it's me.
She's not his friend.
No.
Well, there you go then. Shut up.
But she understands he's a pillar of the community.
That's really not the same thing at all.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because she doesn't let her personal opinions interfere with her professional lawyering, does she? So
single female lawyer
doesn't matter. Wednesday, she's not single. Is she going with?
It's just that joke, isn't it?
I know.
Futurama.
Where's Joel?
Dead.
Stop it. He came back for a little bit. I just can't remember whether Dee Dee got back with him or not. My memory's terrible at the moment. Well, maybe I just blame Coronation Street for not showing us enough.
He kind of like finagled her outside the courtroom.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
And he's like, oh, my daughter's sad. Oh.
Yeah, is he still on your radar in the suspect list of... Is he right up there?
Yep, he done it.
Do you think it's him? Do you think it's him and Nathan still?
No, don't think Nathan's got anything to do with it now.
I'm not convinced either.
Nathan's got nothing to do with it.
I think it was I'm glad that they brought him back. I think it's a great little red herring, and I'm not saying he's not up to other kinds of mischief, but
I think he's just a builder now. He's just spaghetti on the wall, isn't he?
He seems quite believable, but I still wouldn't be completely shocked if it turned out that it was him and Joel.
No, well, okay.
Well, I guess maybe we'll find out in a few weeks.
I'm just going to say that that tweet I was saying from Script Scene. I'm just going to retweet it so that if you want to read it, you can, because there's a whole thread about what he had said about. Which I thought was very good.
Ian McLeod. So Wednesday, this is the big not murder mystery. Kicking mystery, I suppose, when Nathan gets attacked by a mystery assailant. Bethany starts off the episode thinking that she sees Nathan outside the shop, and she has a bit of a panic, but oh no, it's not him. Phew, he's not there. She goes and tells Sarah and David about it later. And this was a bizarre Wednesday. David, a couple of times, like, hey, we got to make sure that Shona doesn't find out about Nathan being back. Hey, what's she going to think about that? But by Friday, and I'm sure I didn't miss anything, by Friday,
really sure?
Shona clearly knows that Nathan is back because David just casually brings it up in conversation over breakfast.
And she don't give
No.
a crap. She's got brain damage.
Maybe that's it. Maybe she's like, that was in my previous life.
I think
there was a massive missed opportunity for. Although, am I asking for wibbly wobbly flashbacks from Shona now of her time with Nathan? I don't think so. I saw lots of people online saying they weren't sure about what the history was between Shona and Nathan. Basically, all it boiled down to was when Shona came on the show, she had been. She was homeless, wasn't she?
She was a tea leaf scallywag stealing David's wallet because she was homeless.
Yeah, and the reason she was homeless, I don't really see why they particularly join her, but just they do, is that she had been going out with Nathan, hadn't she? She'd been his girlfriend or something, but then she'd found out what he'd been up to with his little grooming ring. He'd tried to get her involved in it, and she was like, not likely, mister. And then he kicks her out and she doesn't get anywhere to live. So that's the history of Shona and Nathan. So she's probably got a little bit of PTSD about that. But not if you believe what she was like on Friday morning, which is just casually dropping jokes about him. So possibly a missed opportunity for some Shona drama. Oh well, maybe it'll come up later.
I prefer not everybody to be crying all the time.
I would really think... Who was it that went to see Nathan in hospital today? It was Sarah Louise, wasn't it? I don't know how they could have done it particularly, but I would love to see Shona going to see Nathan in the hospital just to say, well, look at me, look how far I've come, I've escaped you.
We never saw them together though.
No, we didn't see them together.
Before she was on the show.
Yeah. But it was she came on just as Nathan was starting to get a bit suspicious, if I'm right. So that I don't remember there being a huge amount of interaction between them.
It's funny to think that Nathan's an older character than Shona.
Yeah, I think only just though. I mean, Shona was involved with like rescuing Bethany from the grooming ring. I can't remember. I'm very hazy on the details about what happened. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen Shona, and maybe it still can happen. Just have that conversation with Nathan and say, "Sling your up, mate. You've lost. Get out of here."
Get out
just,
of here.
Just to see a bit of that Shona fire. Anyway, the other thing about this scene in the Platts, oh no, it was today's episode, wasn't it? That terrible shot of their back garden through the window. You pointed it out.
Yeah, you could see. It looked like French doors that I didn't know they were there.
Well, I don't think we see that angle very much, and I think there's I think there's a really good reason why we don't see that angle very much. Is because they've got a really terrible flat picture of the Platt's garden on the outside with a little garden table that was extremely distracting because of how fake it looked. And usually Corrie are pretty good at not doing that these days. Back in the day in Coronation Street, you'd have it quite a lot where you could see through people's net curtains a really obvious picture from the other side, or when they open the door, then you can see a big mural of the other side of the street. But
I'm finding it really distracting that everybody has their curtains drawn.
I know. Well, I've always thought that a little bit. Everyone's got really thick net curtains because you can't have a window open into the street unless...
the only set is the community centre and the kebab shop.
Yeah, and Preston's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones that you can have characters walking around outside, and you very rarely... Oh no, the kebab shop you do get to see people walking around outside. That's quite good. But you never get to see like... Because, if you lived in, like, any of those houses, people would be staring in your windows day in, day out, wouldn't they? You'd just be sitting there having your tea and people be walking past and staring at you.
Have we just uncovered a new use for the volume wall? Stick it outside.
Stick it
in the set. Outside somebody's windows and have somebody walking past. There you go. Job's a good one.
Technology always starts out really expensive and then it becomes very cheap, so...
Maybe that's an idea for the future Coronation Street. Anyway, back to Wednesday's episode. So, don't tell Shona about Nathan being back, because it's surely going to
cry.
emotionally scar her, or maybe she won't
be
even bat
sad.
an eyelid. So this is when Bethany talks to Craig, and she's like, well, she's heard that Nathan's got an alibi on the day that Lauren was spirited away, and she's like, Craig, you work for the police, don't you? Can you tell me what Nathan's alibi is? And he's like, no, I can't tell you that. I couldn't possibly.
No, it's a secret.
Okay, listen. Hey, Bethany, shh.
Come here.
Don't tell anyone I told you. But he was supposedly with his girlfriend at the moment. Okay, keep it under your hat.
Right, yeah.
Shh. Here's something else. Don't tell Swain. She'll have my guts for garters. He was with his girlfriend. She runs a nail bar in town. Oh, I said too much.
Oh, also, why would you tell a journalist?
It is a total. Is it a running joke? Is it supposed to be an in-joke to us that Craig can't keep any police secrets and he's the most unprofessional copper that Weatherfield has ever seen? It's literally, he'd be terrible if he was ever got captured and tortured, wouldn't he? He'd be singing like a canary.
He couldn't be James Bond.
Craig Tinker could not be James Bond. That is a true fact.
I mean, we don't know who the new Bond's going to be.
But we know who it ain't. Anyway, thanks for that lovely bit of exposition there, Craig. So off Bethany goes to this nail bar, which we didn't get to see, unfortunately. Just to
He's like, come here. It doesn't have a set though.
Yeah.
You can't go
Let me
it.
describe what it looks like, so when you tell everyone you've been to it, you know exactly what it is. Okay. Shh. Anyway, so she comes back. She's back with Daniel later, and then she. Oh no, was it later? Yeah. She's been back. She's harassed Nathan's girlfriend in the nail bar. She's back on Victoria Street, and now she sees Nathan by the builder's yard.
Oh no!
And oh no! And she's kind of striding over to him. Daniel gets in there and says, "Oh, what are you doing? Oh, you shouldn't be around here." And Nathan's like, "Just leave me the hell alone. Just let me get on with my job," and drives off. Now, also, we had Sarah and Gary kind of tootle up to them in that scene because they'd just been having a conversation in the cafe, and Sarah, remember, is getting a bit close to Gary at the moment, and he says, look, all this business that's going on with Nathan, I'll have a word with him if you like. And Sarah says, no, honestly, I could kill him. And Gary says,
let me do that.
I'm quite good at killing. He has a little look to say, that's my speciality. Just put him under a dodgy roof and job's a good one.
I complicate things with violence.
So he's like, I haven't given anyone a good kicking in so long.
Normally I get a kick in.
He did go through a period where he would only be the recipient of kickings, didn't he? But he got a bit harder at the beginning of McLeod's era, then. But still, it's been a while. He's been a bit of a nice family guy since then. So we should have seen it. I think we did see it coming, didn't we? From Gary giving that, it really did look like I am going to go and beat him up. But they did throw a couple of what's it called when you throw in false evidence, red herringy kind of clues later to make us think it was maybe someone else, including every single suspect in this story wearing the exact same outfit during the day. How embarrassing must that have been when they all went to the pub and David's like, oh, I've got a navy hoodie and dark trousers. Gary's like, hey, I've also got a navy hoodie and dark trousers. Even Gary and Ryan was wearing the same thing. So it was. I did appreciate it, honestly. I did. I think it was great to have a little midweek murder mystery. Well, not murder. Why do I say murder? It just rolls off the tongue better. Anyway, so they've seen Nathan off. He's gone off in his van, and that's the end of that. Sarah, Gary, David all convene in the pub later to have a bit of a pearl clutching session about Nathan being so close to Coronation Street, and David says, hey, something needs to be done. I don't know why I'm doing voices for David. He says, something needs to be done about this. So both he and Gary have expressed an interest in
kicking him,
giving him a good seeing to.
No, that's not right.
So, meanwhile, Bethany and Daniel are having a bit of a cuddle in the flat later, and he's saying, oh, look, no way, Nathan's going to hurt you, don't worry, I'll protect you. And she says, no, it's not just that, it's the fact that I hate the way he makes me feel about myself too. I just remember those awful times and I feel bad about myself. I don't think I'll ever be able to deal with this. There was a scene, I wondered what this was going on here. A little bit later in the episode, there's a scene where she walks into the room on her own. Do you remember? And she was just having a good old cry, and she sits on the sofa and she's like hugging her knees.
Yeah. I can't connect to it.
I wondered at the time, I was thinking, has she just sent somebody to go and beat Nathan up, and now she's feeling guilty about it? I mean, clearly it was very soon not the case because she suspected it was Daniel, but I don't really know what the point of that scene was.
To show that she's sad.
I get that she was sad from every other time that she's had a bit of a lip wobble, but anyway, maybe it was just me.
I just don't feel Bethany at all.
No, me neither. Neither.
She leaves me cold at the moment. I'm not bothered.
I think I'm feeling a little bit when she's doing her kind of sad panda eyes. There's brief seconds where I go, oh yeah, it is a bit tough here at the moment, isn't it, Bethany? But then the moment that she starts being a nosy cow, the moment that she starts shrieking at Daniel and accusing him of everything, the moment she starts getting in someone's face,
banging on her to her mum, going, "Oh, you slap her going after other people's men." Sorry, who are you shacked up with, and what happened there? Because Daisy was coming round to make up with him. Well, you jumped in bed with her boyfriend.
I know. Speaking of Daisy, where's she at the moment? The last we saw of Daisy, I'm sure, was Carla saying, "You can't live here in the Rovers anymore."
Do you guys remember that story? Has she gone back
down to her dad's or something?
Do you guys remember that story where the Rovers was teetering on the brink, and then Daisy and Jenny stole money off of the dead man, and now Carla's found out and she's getting revenge?
That's just
and
ground
also,
to a halt.
Gary's sold the factory from under Carla's nose. What's happened there?
They have been making noises.
They've talked about it
happening
so briefly, but why are we buggering around with sodden, stupid subplots about people having affairs when there's actually interesting things happening?
Some people might say that affairs are interesting.
No, I don't care.
Okay, so where were we? So David and Sarah are in the flat later, and they both say, "Look, with Nathan round here, Bethany's always going to be looking over her shoulder." And he says, "Ooh, I've got something I need to do," and hops up and heads out. So this is when we get to see the beating up scene, and it's great because Nathan's there on his phone over at his work, being a bit of a git about Bethany, and then he gets jumped by a mysterious stranger in a navy hoodie and dark trousers and black shoes. Quite a short person.
It was, but Gary's not short.
Gary's not the tallest. Was he about my height? I can't remember. I haven't got a picture of us two together printed out.
Actor size.
He was actor sized, same as Mike Lavelle, same as Jack P. Shepherd.
I think Nathan's actor sized.
I don't know, is he? But whoever it was that attacked Nathan was definitely a little smaller than him.
Yeah.
Which I at the time, because they had led us to think this, says, well, that's obviously David there, isn't it? Got to be David. But yeah, it later transpires that it was Gary, and by the time we turned into Friday's episode, I was telling you it is definitely Gary, because we had to look. I took a little screenshot of Brian, Gary and David all sitting around at the Rovers bar, and put that side by side with a photo of somebody giving Nathan a good kicking, and the clothes they didn't belong to David, did they? But because they were so similar, you had to go back and rewind it to find that out, and you if not everyone's going to do that. Most people aren't going to do that.
In real life, that's called good detective work, but in because it's a television show, it just makes you a nerd.
Just being a little bit too obsessed with it. I just appreciated the fact that they gave us a little whodunit midweek out of nowhere. Yes,
it was actually genuinely absorbing, because they're like, ooh, who was it?
Yeah, I love a mystery, and I think they flubbed the ending a little bit. It wasn't the big reveal, or maybe they could have kept it going for a little bit longer. But yeah, to get us talking and guessing and speculating, just kind of out of nowhere, I really appreciated that. You can't do it all the time, I suppose. If every week there was a who blanked blank, then you get tired of it. But no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Well, this is Who's the Baddie, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So Nathan is attacked. He's punched to the ground, and he's given a good kicking on the floor. So Bethany's with Sarah later, and she gets a call from the police to tell her about this attack on Nathan. And this is when David comes in with a muddy scuff on his jeans. Well, we think it's mud, but what did he say it wasn't? Oh, he said on Friday's episode that it was paint, because he was gonna graffiti Nathan's van.
Yeah, he was gonna paint it with your evil man.
Yeah, But we are supposed to believe at this point that he could have acquired this when kicking him. I don't really know how, to be honest, because, there wasn't mud around there. He just punched him and then kicked him. Why would that make a muddy patch appear on his legs?
Because he probably ran away and fell over.
Yeah, possibly. So anyway, we think maybe it's him. Nice. Ryan finds Bethany in Victoria Gardens later. She's still upset and says, "Oh, Nathan's been attacked," and now the police want to speak to Daniel because he's under suspicion of it as well. And Ryan accidentally reveals to her that, Daniel has got a bit of a violent streak to him, actually, hasn't he? Do you remember, that he attacked Justin last year? Justin, the evil Scottish stalker, and Beth
He
was like,
attacked Justin
"What?"
last year, and he pushed Max down the stairs, and he pushed his dad down the stairs.
He is, you don't want to be around Daniel when he gets cross, do you? You don't know when he's going to lash out.
At least Chesney bricks his own face.
I know. Most of the time, Daniel is a lover and not a fighter. A thinker and not a fighter.
No.
But he just has these
Just like
moments
his dad
where the red mist comes down and he loses it.
Yeah.
So, I quite like that side to him, and the fact that they still have it, and it's kind of ties into his deeper, mental, emotional health issues.
Trouble, I'm just going to say this one thing, right? This is like, how we always make fun of what Coronation Street does with women, and there's a strong woman in the show. She always ends up crying about something, and she cries for 6 months, and she's really sad and traumatized, and then for another 6 months she'll just be very dull and scared of everything. With men, they go, "Oh, isn't he a noble and nice guy?" But no, he's violent and he's pushed to it because of all these terrible things that happen.
I think
they do that. Like, there's not a single man on the street who I can think of who hasn't done something violent.
Oh, I don't know whether that's true.
It's a challenge, though, isn't it, to think of somebody.
Has Ed Bailey done anything violent?
Set fire to his own thing, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's just a fire. That's not violence. I don't know. I think it's more. It is still consistent
but
with.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it.
There's no man on the street that I would go, "Oh no, they would never give."
No, anyone for a break time cliffhanger could certainly throw a punch on Coronation Street, but I do think that Daniel is a bit more prone to it than others.
Yeah, definitely.
And the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree anyway, because Ken,
that's what I just said. I said that about Ken.
He was a bit of a puncher, wasn't he, back in the day? But I think
he pushed women around.
I think with Ken
didn't do it to Joanna Lumley though.
I think with Ken, he just did it because he was the spurned man by Mike Baldwin. There wasn't any kind of hint that he's not in control of his own emotions.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But Daniel, he's definitely got some lingering mental health issues from the fact that he was had to bring himself up, and he didn't have a mum for his formative years.
That scene where he was in the bathroom. Remember that scene
I do.
in the bathroom?
In Denise's house, yeah, definitely.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Anyway, so nice little link to say, well, maybe it's Daniel, but as a viewer, I was under no delusion. I didn't think it was Daniel. It couldn't have been Daniel. Daniel was too tall. He wasn't wearing the same clothes.
But also, can I just say, I don't think Daniel is like a white knight vigilante kind of like Gary is. I don't think Daniel really cares about Bethany that much.
What?
To go and beat somebody up. He only beats people up when they annoyed him.
Well, yeah.
Nathan's done nothing to him, has he? Nathan's done nothing to him.
Well, Justin hadn't done anything to him. He was defending daisies on her when he
threw
bopped.
acid in his girlfriend's face.
Yeah, but you beat him up before then. When he was stalking
He was being annoying to her though.
Yeah, but he was being annoying to Beth.
Nathan has done
Daisy,
nothing since he just. Do you see what I mean? Where everything that he's done to Bethany, he already did. It's not like it's something new that he's done. So where would he have got the rage from? That's just my point.
Well, the same place that Bethany's got her fear from. Just because you say this was a storyline that happened 6-7 years ago, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah, but it didn't happen to him though. That's what my point is. He wasn't her boyfriend.
No, but he's still protective of her. I don't know. I think he is a bit of a white knight, but not quite to the same extent as Gary, who's always looking for an excuse for a rumble.
Daniel's just really inherently selfish and self-obsessed.
Well, that I will agree with.
Well, then why are you arguing?
Oh, just for fun.
The only time Daniel hits somebody to do with the girl is when it's like, how dare you besmirch the honour of my relationship. You know, he had to go to Justin because he was sniffing around his girlfriend. Not because Daisy was sad, but because Daniel was threatened because he was no longer because he was threatening his place as her boyfriend.
Yeah, okay, I'll get that.
That's my point.
Anyway, so Daniel comes home later and
they're not real people though,
walks into a massive grilling from Bethany, who says, "Where have you been this afternoon? I've just heard about you being a bit handy with your fists. Did you just attack Nathan? You're clearly the sort of person that goes around attacking people, so did you do it?" And Daniel's like, "Who have you been speaking to?" She obviously tells him that it's Ryan, so he strides into the pub after the break and has it out with him. And Ryan's like, "Look, I was just trying to protect Bethany when I told her. I didn't mean to." And Daniel's like, he was spoiling for Rumble here, wasn't he? He was like, "Right, outside, Ryan. How would you put Daniel's chances against Ryan?" I'm not gonna say that he's got much of a chance here. I think probably Ryan would absolutely wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, Ryan would use...
He's got a bit more muscle on him. I know that Daniel
Ryan's
has
pumped.
bulked up a little bit over the last few years because
Ryan
he
was
came
on
in
steroids.
a bit. Yeah, well, exactly. But even so, he's still into his working out, isn't he? Daniel, though, he's...
Yeah, Daniel's just a limp-wristed idiot.
He's not as limp-wristed as he used to be. He's bulked up a bit since then, but I think that Ryan would 100% wipe the floor with him. But points for trying, I suppose, Daniel. It was quite funny. Ryan says, "Look, just grow up. Just grow up,
So what
mate."
is he mad at Ryan about?
Because he told Bethany about...
Because he told...
that Daniel beat
so again,
up Justin.
He's not trying to defend Bethany or do anything nice for anybody. He's just annoyed that Ryan told on him that he's a psychopath, and in order to prove he's not a psychopath, he threatened to fight him outside the pub.
Anyway, things are getting very tense. This is when the police come in and they arrest Daniel off screen. David, meanwhile, is washing his clothes. Coronation Street still trying to keep that mystery going about, is it David? What was that on his jeans? And Sarah sees
Blood.
the mark there and says, "Look, what's that on your jeans there? Did
Blood.
you just beat Nathan up? Is that blood?" And he's like, "No, it wasn't me, but I'll buy the bloke who did it a pint." So yeah, Sarah at this point now thinks that it was possibly David. Cut to the police station. Swain and their silent partner are interviewing Daniel later and saying, "Look, where were you earlier?" "I was just out walking," says Daniel. He is getting mightily fed up, and fair play to him. Whatever fun we make for Daniel, he has quite often recently been pulled into the police station for questioning when he has done nothing against the law at all. And he's like, "Look, you're accusing me of killing Lauren, now you're accusing me of beating up Nathan. I didn't do anything. What have you got against me?" And Swain's like, "You've clearly got trouble controlling your anger, Mr. Osborne. Did you attack Nathan Curtis?" No, he didn't, he says, and so he goes home. He's sent home later, but steps right into another grilling from Bethany, who says, "I don't like the side of you that I saw in the pub this afternoon."
When you're a journalist, it's an interview.
She's interviewed.
Yeah.
He is interviewed by Bethany, and she won't admit that, or she won't say that she doesn't believe he didn't attack Nathan. So Sarah's leaving the end of the episode thinking it was David. Bethany thinks that it was Daniel. Viewers are speculating. Friday we get to find out.
But we already know.
We did. This was the beginning of Friday's episode when we saw David and Shona at the breakfast table with the fake as you like garden scene on the outside. And for what was the reason? She wanted his phone
To see where he'd been.
Yeah.
To prove that he attacked Nathan.
Yeah, and he didn't think there was anything on his phone that would attract it, but he's got a health tracker, we find out later. He's hesitant about handing his phone over, but he says, "Oh, well, I'll do it if I can have yours." And what were some of the things that he said that he found?
She didn't want to eat his...
Oh yeah, she didn't want to eat his cottage pie. She texted Burnley the other week. Anyway, it was nice to see Shona, but I can't say that her inclusion to this story has added anything yet. So Daniel's around the Red Band flat later, insisting, telling Bethany, "Look, I didn't beat up Nathan. You got to believe me," but she doesn't. But Sarah seems to think maybe he's telling the
Bethany's
truth.
moved out, hasn't she, of Daniel's flat, and he's like,
Drama queen.
Come back, because nobody's looking after Bertie.
Yeah, I've got to look after my own son.
Oh no, I'm not looking after him. He can raise himself. It didn't do me no harm.
Luckily, the prison's given me some time off school for this terrible tragedy that's happening in my life.
No, I thought he'd been.
Oh yeah, he hasn't.
Suspended.
Oh yeah, he's a
fannying around.
He's a man of leisure at the moment, isn't he?
He hasn't written any poems.
Bet he has.
Probably.
Bet he has. He sits there at night staring at the moon. Mavis's poem about the fox.
I bet he wrote a poem about the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Big Jessie.
Northern Lights. We ended up recording last week's podcast very late because then we had to pause it partway through to see the Aurora Borealis outside.
Yeah.
It was great. Very sorry to anybody in the UK who missed it. And then had to wake up the next day and see everyone who did see it posting about it.
I said to people about it. This wasn't a secret.
Well, I didn't find out that it was happening until 10 o'clock.
It's because I told you.
Yeah, I know. So we went out and saw it. It was great. We had to see it through a phone.
Yeah, you couldn't really see it with your own eyes, so it didn't make any difference.
And then I feel bad. But then everyone else tried to see it because we were told that we'd be able to see it again on Saturday.
They said, it'd be even better on Saturday. No.
We did see. We did watch Eurovision. We did watch Doctor Who on Saturday night as well. Millie Gibson, excellent. I thought she made a really, really confident debut. I think she's going to be a great little companion.
Debut.
Well, no, this is the beginning of her first proper run after the Christmas. Anyway, we're digressing. Not that we ever do that. What's going on next? Oh yeah, this is when they're in the salon. Sarah goes round to accuse David again, and he's like, "Honestly, want me?" Then Shona comes in, brandishing his phone and showing him this fitness app where the tracker says that you were...
Fitnip. Is that like Michael's new invention? It's for children. It's called Fitnippers.
Why would it be for children? Oh, I'm thinking of like something for your nips.
Well, how much weight can you lift with your nipples?
Yeah. These fitness companies will try anything. Like healthy body, healthy mind, healthy nips. So... maybe they stop them from chafing when you're running.
Well, I wouldn't laugh at nipple health. It's very serious.
I know. David, what were you doing there? Round by Nathan's work, exact time that this kickery happened yesterday. And
I love this because he was like, I was there to throw paint. I didn't do it, but I know who did. He's been keeping it quiet the whole time. Why?
Yeah.
That's what I do though, because I like having secrets.
Well, we don't find out exactly who it was then, although the fact there was only two suspects kind of leads us to think it was probably Gary that David said there. Speaking of which, Gary's there in the pub with Daniel later, and Daniel's going, "Oh, Bethany thinks that I beat Nathan up," and Gary's like, "Well, did you?" Daniel says, No, of course not. But then he says to Gary, "Look, could you have a word with Bethany? You're mates with her, aren't you? Try and convince her that it wasn't me, maybe." So Gary goes round to the flat, tries to convince Bethany that Daniel's not such a bad sort. It probably wasn't him what done it. And then Sarah picks the chime to come in and say, "Yeah, it wasn't Daniel who attacked Nathan. It was you, Gary."
Dun, dun, dun.
There we go. The truth is out. And Gary's like, yeah, got me, banked her rights, governor.
You got me this time, but you'll never get me next time.
He's like, "I didn't plan to beat him up." But both him and David made sure that was really, really clear. I didn't go around there on purpose to beat him up. It just kind of happened. I couldn't help it.
He's got a punchable face.
I saw red when I heard him slagging off Bethany on the phone. Bethany's like,
"What
"Gary."
did he say? She said, "What did he say about me?"
But how could anybody find anything to criticise about me, Bethany Platt?
He was going, she's not even a very good journalist.
Yeah, she's a really
and
annoying
Gary was like,
character.
"How could you?"
She's like, "This isn't the Wild West, Gary. Look, if you don't own up to the police, I'm going to march there and tell them myself." I think that probably...
Why?
Well, I guess I
don't get it.
At this point, was she just trying to throw... She wanted to make sure that that Daniel, she's probably feeling really guilty that she's been suspicious of her own boyfriend at this point. I get it. He's under suspicion of the police, and so she wants to make sure that he gets off the hook.
Why don't you just write an article about it?
Yeah, get paid £10 to...
Do you know what she needs? An Instagram or something, so she can just make videos and leave everyone alone.
Yeah.
Just make your little videos and shut up.
Anyway, so Sarah chases after Bethany, who's marching off down the road towards the police station, apparently, and says, look, Gary can't go to prison. Little Liam needs him.
Which one's that again?
What? You don't say that.
No, we had a new one, didn't we? Who was it rocked back up again?
Oh, Jack was in tonight's episode, wasn't he? For the first time in I don't know how many months.
Remember all these little children.
Stretched out on the sofa, making him look even taller than he already
Which one's
is.
the other one that Gary's got?
Jake.
There, you see, that's what I got confused about, because she didn't care about Jake.
Doesn't care about Jake, who is Gary's actual biological son.
Actual
if
child.
Gary goes into prison,
And
because
actually doesn't
Jake's
have
got
anybody
Izzy
else.
to look after. No, he's got Izzy, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Just remembering all these links.
I can't remember. I need a family tree or something.
So she's saying, please don't drop him.
I suppose the point is that Liam's sad.
Yes, exactly.
Where are we?
No, I think Jake's probably just feeling like the neglected child at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
What is he up to during all of this? He never happens to walk in on Gary and Maria having serious chats about the state of their relationship, does he? He's probably too busy playing Fortnite or something, or Roblox or whatever. How old is he now? I don't know. So
I just want to point out that because I have a cold and a cough, that my brain is being starved with oxygen, so I can't be expected to remember.
We've been riding. I've been riding on this for the last 4 weeks that I've been ill.
Well, Liam's not been in it this week, so I can't expect it to remember.
So Sarah shows up at the hospital to visit Nathan and says, I shall give you £2,000 right now if you tell the police that you don't want to take this any further and get out of Weatherfield.
Well, hang on, you kind of buried that a little bit, didn't you?
What?
She goes, she visits him.
Yeah?
Yeah, I know, but you know, that's quite significant, isn't it?
Mate, yeah,
You've got to give it a bit of room, like, dun.
Guess what, everybody?
Bit
of bribery from Sarah Louise.
He's sad, isn't he? And tired.
Yeah, when she turns up to see him in the hospital bed, he's literally just sitting there staring out in front of him.
Yeah, with nothing to do. It reminds me of I'm not going to say it, actually.
Why? No, don't spoil. Let's not. So he's like, oh, well, my silence is worth more than £2,000 actually. Maybe for 10 I'd get out of Weatherfield. But
what? Well, no. I won't tell everybody it was Gary. Did he say leave Weatherfield?
I think so. I think that was part of it. But he says, well,
honest, anyway, he's got a what's it called?
250 metres restraining order thingy.
And it wasn't his fault because Bethany never told the police that she was there. So that was why he was hanging around. You know, he was around the builder's yard and stuff because he didn't know he wasn't supposed to be there because she never told the police where she was.
No, but I still think that it was a bit dodgy of him being there knowing that literally just round the corner was where Bethany used to live and where her family lives. I think he was pushing it there. I still think that he was there innocently. I don't think he's plotting to, intimidate the Platts or anything.
I think what I know, this is really bad of me, but I just kind of want Nathan to go like, Bethany, I had so many other victims. You're not my main victim.
Yeah. Remember Lara?
How am I supposed to keep track of every single person I've got to keep 50 metres away from?
Yeah. It's like a game of Minesweeper, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, can't go that way down that street. That's where so and so used to live.
And I know that was a horrible thing to say. But she is acting like she was the only one. There's loads of women that he victimised.
Yeah. Why isn't Bethany contacting all his other victims and say, did you know that he was out? I suppose they would.
They'd be like, yeah, I did know because I told the police where I am. She's such a great investigator, isn't she?
It's like the people that move house and don't tell the Royal Mail the forwarding address. It's your own fault,
She's
really.
so detail-orientated.
Anyway, so Nathan's saying, well, you know what, I've already told the police that I didn't remember, but maybe who knows what I'll remember when push comes to shove. So I think is he kind of threatening that maybe he'll remember that it was somebody different that beat him up. Maybe I'll remember that it was Gary. Maybe I'll remember that it was David that beat me up.
Maybe I remember it was you, Sarah.
Yeah, maybe I'll remember that you beat me up. Anyway, so back at the flat, Sarah's there and Gary says, right, very fortunately, I've just sold the factory. The factory I've had nothing to do with for years, but now I've got oodles of cash to throw about.
This reminds me of, this is what happens every time with like business sales and like what's it called, locations and flats and whatever. In about 5 years' time, they'll have forgotten that he sold this and he'll own it again.
What do you reckon?
Yeah. I do. Unless who's he sold it to?
Yeah, I don't. Is it? It's not Carlo, is it?
No.
I don't think it matters.
Well, exactly. Then what's the point?
I think it, and I don't think the business of who owned the building was even a thing before.
No.
He happened to buy it all those years ago.
I wonder whether this is setting up another story. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm just so excited about the prospect. Where
we're not editing that, Yorm. We're going to keep it in for dramatic effect.
Where maybe whoever bought the factory is going to demolish it, and then
I think that would never ever happen.
No, it's not going to happen. But they'll be like, "I've got to demolish," and Carl will be like, "Oh no, it can't happen."
There could be that would be a bit of a misfire, wouldn't it? A save the factory story. Because there'd be an awful lot of viewers that'd say, knock it down.
Let it go.
Knock it down. Let it. It's had its time. It was like when Ray was threatening to put his hotel there, and we were watching it thinking, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, actually. Go for it,
bargains.
Anyway, Gary's offered to pay this £10,000 get Nathan out of Weatherfield fee, but Sarah, viewers, everybody... Maria can never know. Don't tell Maria. It's going to be a secret. We all agree that Maria will never, ever, ever find out about this. Okay, everybody?
You should just waste it on textbooks.
I give her a week.
Yeah.
Maybe a week's pushing it a little bit, but I would be mightily surprised if we get to July and Maria doesn't know about this.
She'll just waste it on like sparkly rose gold towel holders for the bathroom.
Yeah, do you think she's the thought that when her husband has just sold something, and I don't know how much he got for this, but if he can just afford to drop £10,000, and I'm sure that he must have earned a lot more than that, because aren't they planning to use some of that cash to fund private school or a counsellor for Liam or something?
Oh yeah, sorry,
he's
counselling.
Not. It's not like he got 11. How much would the factory be? And how much of a mortgage did he have on it?
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I reckon that plot's worth like 400,000. Right? And
I'll tell you who would know. Demi.
Yeah, she would be able to price it up for you. So yeah, maybe I reckon he got 100 grand or more for that. Do you not think? And he's just like, 10 grand, so don't care.
Are you sure we don't own any factories that we've forgotten about?
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We own, like, some diamond mines as well, but we don't tell anyone about that because they're not ethical.
So Rich Gary, just dropping £10,000. Maria can never know. Oh, my God.
She could have bought a really, really nice handbag for 10 grand. I'd be mad about that.
So... Daniel, later on, gets a call from the police saying, we've dropped Nathan's case. Hooray! Nathan says he remembers getting into a fight with his mate now. Bethany is like... Daniel says, what on earth could have made Nathan remember that? Bethany wants to change the subject. She suddenly
is completely incurious. Like all the way through, she's been like, "What's happening now? What's happening here? Can I hear that?"
she doesn't.
Like, oh, who cares? I don't care.
No. She does care because she says it must be Sarah. My mum's done something, and she doesn't want Daniel to think about it too hard.
I know that. I'm saying that she's pretending.
Oh, yes.
And all of a sudden she's like, I don't care about, I'm not interested in the gossip.
Well, Sarah's like, these teenagers ain't. Not that she's a teenager anymore.
She is.
Changing what they're like. One minute they're like Harry Styles, the next minute it's Liam Payne. So Bethany goes to see Sarah and says, how did you get Nathan to keep stum? And Sarah confesses to offering this money. Bethany's like, what are you doing with Gary? Why are you getting in his pants? Well, not yet, but it's only a matter of time. So soon. So we get a massive slap from Sarah, who was immediately like, oh my gosh, I've slapped my daughter, how terrible.
And she says, I did it for you, Bethany.
Yeah.
Bethany's in a mood.
Bethany huffs off out.
I'd be in a mood
if I'd got slapped by my mum.
Yeah, but why is Bethany suddenly the moral compass of the street? She's a big shugger as well.
She thinks she is.
Why does she lecture her mum about helping her get rid of Nathan?
Maybe she thinks that her mum's older and wiser. She's only 12 years or 13 years
older. So what? Why isn't she grateful?
Do you think that Bethany deserved that slap?
Sarah? Bethany? Yeah, I'd slap Bethany.
I think that Sarah is clearly feeling, maybe things are happening between me and Gary, but I don't want anyone else to know about it. So that slap was more a case of, oh my gosh, am I being that obvious? Slap, be quiet, don't tell them my secret.
Why would you give Sarah 10 grand?
Because
also,
she's very pretty.
Can I just point out, she had 2 grand of that already. She offered him.
Yeah, that's
Gary's
true.
Rubbish
He
at
only
maths.
needed to offer 8, didn't he?
I know. He'd be crap on Shark Tank.
Although, why Sarah Louise has just £2,000 lying around?
I know, that's what I was saying. So why has she got all this money?
So
at no point do I have blackmail money. Don't even ask me. I will never have blackmail money to give you.
No, don't even try.
Don't even try.
So that was it for this story. I'm trying to figure out in my head why the landing of this mystery didn't really live up to it.
Because it turned immediately into something else.
Yeah, maybe it is. The fact that
There's
it's
never
now leading back into this Gary and Sarah
that's what I said
affair.
earlier. Every single thing is like, look at this intriguing plot development. And now they will shag each other. Like, oh, for goodness sake.
I think also it was because it gave Bethany yet another opportunity to be insufferable. I think that they probably could have stretched it out further. I wouldn't have minded, being able to, if they'd left it until next week, and that would have given us a bit of a chance to speculate on the podcast. That it was almost solved too quickly, that we got to see the act, the suspicion, the confession, all in the space of 2 episodes.
They really need to give things more breathing room.
Unless it's Lauren's story.
Well,
it was the extreme opposite of the Lauren story. It's now been a mystery for, 3-4 months?
Well, one thing they're really good at is drawing out affairs.
Yeah.
Let's give that. Let's just make that a 3-month-long, prolonged, agonising, boring slog to bed.
But I don't want to seem too down on this story. Honestly,
I did really enjoy
this was another high. It's a shame
that
the Roy aspect of it dropped off completely. But maybe I think possibly Friday's episode they put a little bit too many scenes into it. It probably could have been trimmed a little bit. I would have rather have they had more scenes of Sally maybe with Demi on Friday. I know you can't hang an episode around what's clearly just a comedy story. Yeah, maybe you did, but these days you can't. Or maybe a little bit more about Bernie, because that also lost steam on Friday's episode. I think that was my main issue with it. They were packing too much in. But I do really, really appreciate the fact that they put a mystery in there. I'm not going to say more, please, because
Why?
Because I don't want it to happen all the time. But it was fun while it lasted. So there we go. Should we move on to the next story? So Bernie and her secret son. It's out there. Is he called Chris? Is he called Kit? Is he called Zodiac? Who knows? But he's here.
He's like a superhero with all these names.
Zodiac is a proper superhero
No, that's
name,
a
isn't
murderer.
it? Well, and it's also a gladiator. Not in the new gladiators, but what do you think? We've got Apollo, Gemini, and Zodiac. We need to know your thoughts on this. I know your thoughts already, but I'm just inviting you to...
What do you think I'm... What?
You said the other day that you didn't like the name Zodiac. You said well, how come he gets all of them and Gemma only gets one of the star signs?
I didn't like that. No. They only called Gemini... they only called Gemini as a joke originally, didn't they?
Yeah, she was Gemma long before she was Gemini. Because when Gemma came into the show, she was Callum's... mole, wasn't she, for a bit? She was the drugs mole, and then she went off for a bit, and then they had the story where she applies for a job at the salon, and Audrey's like, oh, this person applies called Gemini. Then it turns out it's Gemma. And then Paul came in, and he was called Paul before he was Apollo, because he was in prison with David.
Yeah, he wasn't.
So both of these characters had their normal, in inverted commas, names here first, and then I think Coronation Street kind of cleverly said, well, what could be a crystal loving hippie name for them, whereas I don't know how it happened with Zach. It feels a little bit like maybe they thought we've got to give him a hippie name first. How can we and then what would we shorten it to?
I'd be annoyed if I was Gemma, because why is she Gemini? Just because she's one of the twins. Why isn't Paul got a twin name?
He could have also been Gemini then, maybe, couldn't he? And that would have just made things too confusing.
Boy Gemini and girl Gemini.
I
don't think he came afterwards as well. It's like
Gemini and Apollo feel more like names than Zodiac to me. Zodiac doesn't sound like a name.
no, it's an alias.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I remember, I used to read, I can't remember who it was that wrote these books, but I used to love all these trashy little teenage girl books when I was a teenage girl. And one of them, was it L.J. Smith? There was a book about this girl who had, this has totally got nothing to do with anything. She had this she had a twin who lived inside her head. And she was called Dove, the girl, and her evil twin was called Wing. And the whole kind of plot twist was that Wing couldn't exist without Dove. And so she conquered her evil twin, I think, at the end. And this is reminds me of how Zodiac, Gemini can't exist without Zodiac. Is there going to be some kind of plot twist based on a novel that I read when I was a teenage girl?
Probably not, but
do you see what? You can't have
you can claim
one child.
that one if they do eventually go down that route.
It's like having a child called Orange and a child called Fruit Bowl. Fruit Bowl's obviously the favourite.
Well, I don't think that Zodiac was the favourite because Bernie gave him the old heave-ho when he was 2. Anyway, let's what happened this week, Gemma? So
she didn't raise Paul either.
This is true. Right, go on.
That was the story we were told when we first were told that they were brother and sister, that they were raised independently. Anyway, Gemma catches Bernie sneaking out early in the morning, and she says, "Oh, I'm going off to Fresh Goes for some bargains," but she looks dodgy. And Gemma tells Paul there's something weird's going on with her, and he says she can't have been at Fresh Goes because there was a power failure there.
Another nice little mystery for this week's Corrie.
Now, power failures are well and good, but if they wanted to set this properly in the world of Weatherfield, which as we know is a bit rough, they'd do it like what we have around our way, where it's like, don't go down Co-op, it's been burgled again. The police have closed it down for forensics. Right, so yeah, she knows something's up. She calls her mum, and her mum's like, "Oh, I'm just at Fresh Goes." And so she knows that she's lying. She goes to the shop, tells Dev about this. Dev goes round to check on Bernie, and he then asks her where she's been, and is it something to do with Denny, who is a horrible ex-husband or boyfriend or whatever. She won't tell, but then he's like, "I'm going to go find him and ask him." She says, "Okay, right, I'll tell you. Zodiac, I gave him up when he was younger, and I'm trying to find out where he is."
Yeah, so all those massive hints that she was giving last week in the scenes where she was talking to Dev and asking him about his other children, which were clearly code for "I've got a secret son," but Dev didn't pick up on them.
This is when we know, or did we know? This is when we know.
What? This is the first time that it's officially revealed to us. Yeah.
And also to Dev.
I think so, yeah. Well,
Yes.
I mean, last week she was Googling Christopher Green,
That's right.
wasn't
We
she?
worked-
And we were
yeah, we
left
worked
to
that out.
wondering, I wonder what that could be. But because we'd already guessed that she had a secret son, we could join the dots quite easily.
We didn't know if it was the dad or the son or whatever.
Yeah.
So she says, "I had a massive bust up with Denny. I went to a club, copped off with someone. Then the baby was born. So we know he's got a different dad, maybe. Everything was great at first. It all got too much. And he was taken into care. And he was adopted by a couple who called him Christopher."
Yeah, so this was after Paul and Gemma had been born, wasn't it? So we're led to believe that for a very short period of time, when the twins were born, they had this Christopher Green,
the baby.
Zodiac, Zach, that they were baby friends with.
Yeah, so she couldn't cope with 3, but meanwhile, there's Gemma. She's got 5, so...
Yeah, that's probably good. Would be rubbing it in quite a lot
Yeah.
over the past few years. Strange that Bernie's not mentioned it before now.
What? No. Bernie'd be like, "I don't know how you're coping. You should get rid of one of them."
Mm-hmm.
So she says, "I was his mum. I failed him. And I've been tracking down all the Christopher Greens in Manchester and knocking on doors, but I haven't found him yet." And Dev says, "Are you sure that you really want to do this?" And she says, "Yes, my mind is made up." So at the moment, the only people that know are Dev and Bernie.
And us.
And us.
But we won't tell. We're not like
We're not
Craig.
we don't do a podcast about spilling all their dirty secrets, do we?
No.
Speculating about their lives. Bernie visits another place, and it's very posh, And he opens the door and says, "Oh, are you here about the cleaning job?" And she says, "Yes, I am. The agency sent me."
That sounds like quite a cliche move there. Somebody turning up and then somebody assuming that they're from an agent. I'm sure I can't think of any examples of one, but I feel like we've seen that used before.
Like when somebody comes around the house to do something, like window cleaner or like a builder or somebody, I don't open the door and go, "Are you here about the window cleaning job?"
No, you go,
They normally
hello.
go, "Hello, I'm here to do your windows," and I go, "Great," Anyway, works differently in Weatherfield, doesn't it? So she's looking around the house, and he's telling her what, look at my dirty skirting boards and things like that. So she's like, "Yeah, I'll clean."
He's got
I'll
quite a
start
nice
now.
house, hasn't he?
Lovely.
For he's just a DC, he's got a lovely old place there. Nice little location shoot. It always makes such a difference to have house scenes filmed in a house. I'm not particularly sensitive to sets looking like sets, but I see people online saying, "Oh, it looks so setty, it's so obvious." But I'm like, no, it's not really. But then they visit an actual house and film, in where somebody lives. And it's night and day, the difference, isn't it?
It's really nice.
And I suppose it's a bit like the fact that Brookside, do you remember when that was actually filmed in houses? That wasn't in sets.
Yeah, but it was a set they built, though.
Yeah, the whole thing was a set, but there were no inside studio sets, as far as I know. It was all filmed on location in the house. No, nor did I. But yeah, I wonder how much more realistic that felt than what was going on in the other soaps with their 3 walls.
Right. So she's like, "Oh, I might as well do cleaning now then. I'll get on with it. La 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 la." But she's really snooping around, and he catches her, and he says, "I've called the agency and they've never heard of you. Are you on the rob?"
Yeah, when she's caught, she's looking through that little chest of drawers, isn't she? That he goes to at the end of the episode. So she didn't realise how close she was.
A secret.
Yeah, secret elephant.
She says, I swear, I'm not on the rob. The fact is, I think I'm your mam." And he doesn't believe her, but she says, "I've been going around all the Christopher Greens. You're like the second to last one. I think you're my adopted baby." And he says, "I wasn't adopted." And she's like, "Oh." And then he's really horrible when she mentions that Paul's got MND.
Yeah, he's nasty on that scene. I can't
remember.
I suppose we get to see a little bit of it. Well, he's just uncaring when she says when she mentions that Paul's got MND. I don't remember what he said exactly either, but he says some things that you wouldn't say.
Good or something. I don't care. I don't watch Coronation Street.
I don't know why, but I feel that he is supposed to be, or will end up being, a nice person. He doesn't feel like he's a villain, but yeah, he has had a few choice words to say to Bernie on a couple of occasions this week. That,
bit nasty, isn't he?
Just
well,
bad.
He sees her off, but then he's like, "Maybe I was adopted." Bernie's back at home, and Gemma's peed off, and she gets this red tin that was full of secrets and says, "Who's this Christopher Green then?" But Bernie's knocked that she's been snooping and says, "Christopher Green was the love of my life."
That's a bit of a pot calling kettle black, isn't it? When Bernie's literally
true.
just been rooting around in somebody's drawers herself.
She said, "Look, some people are too important to talk about," and Gemma believes this. And she asks how they split up, and Bernie starts spinning this tale about him emigrating to Tasmania. And she said, "I just needed a day to reset after thinking about all these my past things." And so Gemma goes to see Paul, and she tells him about what's happened, and that she says, "I am gonna find Christopher Green for my mum because she's proper pining for him." I think that's rude to Dev.
It is a bit, considering, Dev and Bernie have been together for a few years now.
I think they're
Gemma's,
doing all right.
saying, and Gemma's got no beef with him, as far as I know.
They're quite an unproblematic couple, really, as far as Coronation Street goes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Compared to their neighbours.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well.
Constantly just lurching from one marital crisis to the next.
Yeah. Maybe the secret is just don't get married. But Dev and Bernie are in the pub later, and she says, I've been knocking on doors all day, and I nearly got arrested the last time. And he's worried and says, this seems quite dangerous. You should stop blaming yourself. It's not your fault the baby was taken away. And she says, actually, it is, because I told them to take the baby away. He was my third child. I gave him away. I couldn't cope with him and the twins. and I left him with a jade elephant. And as she's talking, we see Zach go to the drawer, like, don't know why, but I suddenly have a compulsion to look at the jade elephant.
Yeah.
I was left by my mother when she abandoned me as a baby.
It is a bit, compulsion. You're right. I didn't mind that. I don't know whether I'm being worn down, but having the voiceover didn't bother me in the slightest.
Yeah,
I thought
you've just given up your resistance.
I thought it made quite a sweet-ish end to the episode, as well as being a reveal. The fact that this guy had such a speaking part.
It was obvious.
It was fine. It was obvious before then that he was her son. But yeah, the confirmation at the end of the episode, I thought that made a great final scene, actually. So, I'm fine with that.
So, on Wednesday, Bernie admits she's still looking for Christopher Greens. She's seen the final one, but he's dead. The age checked out, and she thinks it was him, and now he's died of cancer. And Dev says, you haven't got any proof? And she says, no, my gut's telling me that it was him. I don't know how bothered she really seems about this, but...
No, she was. She was.
I know, but they didn't give her any time to think about it. Not in olden days, Crowd had given her half an episode to sit around and get drunk. She probably would have been smoking, wouldn't she? Dramatically, inside. Don't care about the upholstery. Just tragedy everywhere. The scent of tragedy. So, she sees Kit, who is Christopher.
Oh yeah, he's called Kit in the notes from this point because he was credited as Kit, wasn't he?
Because Kit is a nickname, and apparently not everyone knows this. Kit is just a nickname for Christopher.
No, I didn't know this, that Kit is short for Christopher. And so you said that Kit Harington from Game of Thrones is actually Christopher Harrington.
Yeah.
I did not know this. So there you go. Learn something with us.
And it's a very old nickname, because it goes all the way back to Shakespearean times.
So, very coincidentally, just the day after she happened to uncover this person who's actually her secret son but won't admit it to her, they just happened to cross paths again on Victoria Street.
Because he's on official business.
Yes.
She thinks he's there to have a go at her, but he says, no, I'm here. And she says, I'll call the police on you. And he says, I'll save you some time. I wish she... I said to you, she should have picked her phone up and dialed 999, and then his phone should have rung. Hello,
that would have been hilarious.
It's me, the police. He said,
direct line to the police.
Yeah, we all take it in turns. We all have to answer one. He says, I am the police, and I'm arresting you for being drunk and disorderly.
Yeah, because she spent the afternoon. Yeah, she spent the afternoon in the pub getting tipsy because she thought that her son's just turned up dead, and mere months before another one's about to go the same way.
Kit takes Bernie to the station. Swain's there. Bernie starts grieving about her dead son. Swain says, why are you just arresting random drunk women?
I love this because Kit was acting all like he's the
Smug.
big I am, and so he's he's transferred to Weatherfield Police Station from somewhere else, hasn't he? We learn in this, and
Probably
I think
somewhere in Cheshire.
I think he thinks that I'm going to make a good impression at my new place. I was the big cheese at my old workplace, and I'm going to show everyone what a great officer I am here. And to see him getting a dressing down from Swain, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And Bernie's reaction to it as well.
She was laughing at him.
She was standing there, just this smile creeping onto her face as this guy who's arrested her is getting telling off like a naughty boy from the headmistress. Yeah. So good, I love that.
Bernie then goes back home, and she's upset. She had a bad day. She's never going to see her son. And Dev's like, don't worry, that horrible man, you'll never see him again.
Yes.
But what if he's your secret son? on Friday, Bernie still can't get Zodiac out of her head. Dev says, you need to look after yourself. She's also worried about Kit harassing her, because then the twins are going to start asking questions.
Yeah, she's worried that he's going to be
He's
going
to blow the lid on the fact that this Christopher Harrington is actually not...
Christopher Harrington?
What's his name?
Christopher Green.
Oh, you said Kit Harrington.
Just imagine if they got him, eh?
Imagine if he was in Game of Thrones. Right, so she's worried that Kit will reveal that she thought she was his mum, and they don't know that she's got a secret son.
Yes.
So there's another little confrontation between Bernie and Kit in the street later, and he's been looking her up on the police system, which I'm sure is not allowed. And he's like, you're a bit of a tea leaf, aren't you? You've been into all kinds of stuff.
You've just come out of prison, haven't you?
And she's like, shut up. I had my reasons. If I was him, I'd be really upset if my mum turned up and she was a crim.
I know.
Gemma asks Bernie...
This is the whole irony of the thing, isn't it? That her secret son is actually a police officer when... I mean, the shame of it. She, at this point, of course, doesn't know that Kit is her son.
No.
And I do wonder what it'll be like, what her reaction will be. I mean,
They don't like each other, do they?
They don't like each other, so it's the classic soap setup of these characters that are actually going to end up being quite close, actually hate each other in their initial appearances. But yeah, I think I'd like to see a bit of funny dialogue where Bernie is bemoaning the fact that she's got a Rosa as a child.
Rosa as a child.
She's like, I knew I should have carried on raising you. Those Greens, they don't know how to.
Yeah.
They turn you into police officer.
Right. So, Bernie says, I have my reasons. Gemma asks Bernie what was going on with that guy, and she just, plays it down. Then Paul tells Bernie, with his computer communication device, that he's getting his feeding tube fitted tomorrow, and so this is his last meal.
Oh yeah, what are they feeding him? Is it
mac and cheese?
I thought it was carbonara, ground up.
Oh god, yeah.
Some kind of pasta gloop. Yeah, so this was, I guess, the precursor to Paul's going to have more light-hearted yet sad. A few more bittersweet moments next week as he gets his feeding tube removed. No, yes, added in. Sorry, yeah.
So that was he said it's my last supper.
Last thing to go in my mouth. Sorry, Billy.
Sad about it. But Bernie tells Gemma that Bernie sees Gemma's been searching for Christopher Greens in Tasmania, and she says, "Look, drop it. I'm not interested in this." Why does Gemma think now is the perfect time to introduce? Coronation Street clearly thinks now is the perfect time to introduce new characters to the story. But why does Gemma think that?
Well, maybe she thinks that. Gemma thinks that Christopher Green is
the boyfriend.
Is the boyfriend, doesn't she? Yeah.
Bernie does not need a new boyfriend.
She does not need
from Tasmania
an ex on the scene when Paul is in a position like this. I guess if Gemma knew that he was actually a sibling, maybe she'd think it was a good time. Like, well, Paul's not going to get a chance to meet the brother he never knew existed. I mean, it's still going to be a bit awkward on the deathbed, isn't it? But
yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, Gemma needs another project at the moment. Now's not necessarily the time for that.
She should do like crochet or something.
Do you think that it's all going to come out because Gemma will continue her investigation, and then she's going to discover that this Chris actually is the Chris? Or
I think she's going to Google, like, she's going to be like, I can't find him in Tasmania, so I'll go back in time and see if I can find him in Manchester, and then it'll be like, Christopher Green, Orphan of the Year. Adoptee whose mother had twins, and she'll be like, wait a minute.
Well, Chris is starting to Chris, what are we supposed to call him? I don't know at this point. He's starting to realise at the end of the episode that Gemma is his sister, isn't he?
He comes into the pub and realises that Gemma. He asks Gemma about the wheelchair guy, and she says,
AKA Paul.
That's my brother. He's got MND. And he's like, oh God, that's what my mum was talking about. Her son's got MND. Must be the same guy.
Oh yes, of course. I didn't even make that link. Yeah, that would be a little bit of a coincidence, wouldn't it?
Is there something in the water here? She's like, don't even ask. I'll tell you what.
We've all got something.
There's all something going around here. So he realises that they're related, and he doesn't even drink the beer that he ordered. He runs away.
He scarpers. So what do you think he's going to do next?
If I thought Gemma was my sister, I would run away as well. He's going to find out he's got 4 nieces and nephews.
So I was what could we say was his motivation for denying that he was adopted at the beginning?
Because he was caught off guard, and he wanted some time to think about it.
Do you reckon that's all it was?
Yeah.
But if he thought about it, was his then next move? Oh yeah. So I've thought about it. What I've come to the decision is I'm going to harass her in the street.
No, I'm going to find out more about her. No, I'm going to find out more about her and see whether I actually want to be having a relationship with her.
I guess so. What do you think about
I would totally do that.
What do you think about this week? What do you think of Kit? Do you like Kit?
Tall. I think he's tall.
Yes. Anything else?
I don't like him.
I don't know. I don't know why I do like him. He seems like he could be a good character. It's whenever somebody comes in and they're a bit obnoxious, I always kind of brush that aside and think, oh, they're just, making a bad
Just
first
showing off 'cause they're
impression.
new.
I think the mystery around him is intriguing enough. I absolutely don't think that Bernie needs an extra son
No.
at the moment. I don't think that the storyline requires
Nobody needs a
yet
secret
another
child.
extra kink to it. But if it's like, Corey saying, we're going to add a new character here. It's a new detective. It's we wanted to have a new hunky guy on the street. Let's bring him in this way. Then it's like, yeah, okay, fine. That's fine enough. But I think he seems quite nice, and he's got a bit of acting pedigree behind him. The guy who plays him, Jacob Roberts,
Jacob
Roberts. Jacob Roberts. He was in Hollyoaks between 2017 and 2023. So he's got 6 years in soap behind him. I've got no idea about anything to do with his character. Was he liked? Was he any good? Did he get any award nominations? Not got a clue. But he's not a novice to the soap game, and this could be a decent casting. But equally, I'm thinking, well, we've said enough about Coronation Street's already too huge cast. I think we're getting on okay without him. But if it's going to be anybody, then he seems better than kick in the face. Ask Nathan about that.
Yeah.
But I don't even know whether he's a regular. Are you expecting Kit to stay in the programme?
Well, weren't we also complaining like you didn't? Do we really need another copper? No. No, we've got 3.
Well, no, I think it's hard because do we need a copper? In some ways, no, because we've got our fair share. But equally, do we need another copper? Yes, because there's only Swain who ever turns up to do detecting now. Now we've got 2 of them, I thought maybe it will make it feel a little bit more realistic.
Do you think he's been brought in as a specialist to find Lauren?
Well, I don't know whether he was brought in just... he's transferred from this.
He's going to have a story for why he's transferred. He's either been transferred because he's too much of a renegade and he ruffles too many feathers, his old precinct, and he's a troublemaker and a maverick, or he's like good at his job and they actually need his help.
I just kind of assumed that he'd moved house maybe. I don't understand
he
how
said
these things
the
work.
house he was in, he said he was renting it and that wasn't his crystal.
Oh yeah, that was quite sweet actually, wasn't
She
it?
was like, he's got crystal.
Bernie, because
Must be genetic.
When Bernie was looking through this house, you could kind of see from her expression that she's like, oh, this is the one, I found him, I can't believe it.
She's so proud of him
She was really proud of him, like, oh, my son, look what he's made of himself.
Look, he's
and then
got a crystal.
when she saw the crystal, that was like, oh, that was so sweet. And it's like, oh yeah, the people just left it there. But I almost would like to think,
I think he lied.
maybe he does like crystals.
Yeah.
And because if he's lied about I'm not adopted, then if his go-to reaction to anything with suspicious stranger turning up on your door is to deny everything, I think that would actually be really, really sweet if he was into them. He doesn't strike me as being a crystal lover, but who knows what a crystal lover is?
I think, like in Breaking Bad, that guy, he liked his minerals, didn't he? They're not he's looking at. The cop. His brother-in-law.
Oh, did he? Did he?
I
forgot that.
Minerals, Marie.
I don't know. Anyway, so I think that eventually the 2 of them will have a lovely relationship, but it does feel a bit like one son out. Bernie even accused, Dev accused Bernie of this, didn't he? Saying, "Is it one son out, the other one in?" I think he said that. That was him. But yeah, I don't mind him. I thought it was maybe a little convenient that she was able to find him. Some people can try to find these lost family members, and it takes months.
If you know the name and you just Google addresses, you can find...
But the fact that he's still living in Manchester is quite handy, isn't it?
He's just moved.
Hmm?
He's just moved.
From?
I don't know.
Well, that's even
You're
more
the one who said that he moved.
No, I'm saying that he transferred to Weatherfield Station. I just assumed that before he was in another Manchester police station. But yeah, a little bit convenient, a little bit swift, but I suppose Paul's only got so long left and they wanted to get it in quickly, so it's not the end of the world.
I mean, we managed to bundle Summer off to Boston. Why have we got this new hanger-on?
I wonder who he's like. How old is he supposed to be? 31. Did they say?
He's 2 years younger than Paul and Gemma.
So maybe he's gonna pair up with somebody. I'm just looking forward to seeing more of his relationship with Swain, because that scene where she gives him the dressing down was brilliant. I need to see more of her being all superior towards him.
She obviously thinks he's a cocky know-it-all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would love a cocky know-it-all? Practically every woman on the street.
Although Bernie doesn't need a son, it's actually quite sweet. But equally, we were watching it. I was watching it, and you mentioned the same thing. As great as Jane Hazelgrove was, and yet again, absolutely flawless performance this week from her, I think, it did feel a little bit like, haven't we just seen this kind of thing a few weeks ago with Toya?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm crying over my baby that's died.
Yeah, I'm crying over a child that I only knew briefly. I've never mentioned them before, and now turns out to be the perfect time to...
right now.
Yeah, they both, obviously, Georgia, are fantastic. And if you're going to have two wonderful performances, maybe you don't mind that you're seeing them and they're both kind of similar within the time frame of a month. But
Corey's doing this now. It reminds me, do you remember when in the 90s or early 2000s when every film would come out twice? You'd have A Bug's Life and Ants, you'd have Dante's Peak and whatever the other one was. And it's like, why are we copying each other?
A little bit. You also said that it reminded you of Christian in the Hayley story, didn't you?
Yeah.
Having
someone's about to die and then some random long lost relative pitches up to cause drama in the last second.
I don't think Kit's going to be expecting to be named on Paul's will anytime soon, though, at least. Didn't need it if he's able to rent that fancy house anyway.
I wonder if that was really his house. Or maybe his girlfriend's house or something.
I don't think he's got a girlfriend.
I don't think that police officers can afford massive houses like that. But mind you, I don't know any. So maybe they are rich.
Maybe they are.
Maybe you should be a policeman instead of a teacher.
Maybe he's a secret undercover crystal baron.
Could be.
He could be the one with the diamond mine, couldn't he?
Could be.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I really enjoyed this story. As much as we don't necessarily need a son for Bernie, I'm pleased with the guy that they've chosen to play him. All the performances were super. I liked the mystery of, is it him or not? I liked the location shoot. Yeah. There was just an awful lot to like about this story, despite the premise just being yet another diversion from the course of this story, which should be focused pretty much 100% on Paul's journey. And it's really, really not. Him saying, "Oh, I'm having my feeding tubes fit in this week," was just a little coda. It's like a reminder at the end saying, "Oh yeah, this is just the Paul storyline, by the way." Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about when Alma had cancer? What shenanigans did she get up to?
I don't think she didn't have time to get up to much, did she? Because the time frame between her diagnosis and death was fairly short. Yeah, she did get slapped by Linda Baldwin a few days before she died, I think, didn't she?
I know, but I know I keep doing this and it is really annoying me too, comparing it to Old Corrie. But in Old Corrie they went like, "Oh, I'll tell you what Alma needs. Alma needs like an ex-boyfriend to turn up, and maybe he's got a son, and she's the mum, and she never realised she had a baby, and her brother needs her help for a horse farm in Uruguay, and now she's also got her foot fell off."
The complication with Alma, I suppose, was the fact that Mike decided to look after her, which caused friction between him and Linda.
That's actually about that. That's actually about the cancer.
Yeah.
There's so many things that happen to Paul that's got nothing to do with MND, and I think MND's enough.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Anything else? I can't think of... Oh, I saw somebody online, I can't remember where this was, suggesting that could Kit be the father of D.S. Swain's daughter. That might have possibly been before the reveal that he's only just transferred there.
Well, maybe they transferred him and she didn't want him there because she doesn't get on with him because he's a renegade and he left her high and dry and made her into a lesbian.
Maybe.
She hates him so much.
I think that story, that is a stretch. But anyway.
Come on though. That's the sort of thing Corrie does. Why not? maybe she's also related to Bernie. Maybe everyone is. Maybe everyone in Coronation Street.
Tell you what, if I was Swain's silent partner at the moment, I'd be quaking in my boots, because it wouldn't be surprising to me if before long Kit's paired up with Swain and they are inseparable, always going around everywhere together.
She'd be like, listen here, Kit, I don't agree with your methods. And he'll be like, Swain, you're a stick in the mud, and I think you're an old fuddy-duddy and you could learn a trick or two from a young buck like me.
Do you think that Kit's methods are, instead of like, going around looking for clues, doing investigating, speaking to witnesses, it's right, everybody, let's get the crystals out and see who they think committed the double murder.
I've got some dowsing rods here.
Yeah, get the dowsing rods out. We will find these diamonds, thieves.
I'm going to hold it over your hand, and if it twitches, you done it.
Maybe they can, when there has been a treble homicide, they can get set up a seance, perhaps.
Yeah.
And go, come and talk.
Maybe that's how they discover she's not dead.
Yes.
She's not there.
She's not there when he sets it up.
Maybe his thing is that he's the cop that always lies.
Could be.
Like, instead of good cop, bad cop, you have truth cop and lie cop, but you don't know which one's which. You can only ask one question of each.
How many long lost children that turn up on Coronation Street actually turn out to be good? No, I'm just saying how many turn out to be good, because you got Mary, who had Jude turn up.
Judas, more like
the not I've never been, I'm not, nor have I ever been a marine biologist, turned out to be a massive liar.
Yeah.
Funny character to us. We kind of got on with him, but still
Loved
clearly
it.
a wrong un at the end, and he ended up leaving Mary in the lurch.
Yeah.
You got, who else has had a secret son turn up? Ken found out that he had a secret son, turned up to be a massive homophobe. You had who else was
there?
there?
Did you think there were?
Nick's got Sam turned out to be a massive chess nerd.
I thought you say massive chestnut.
Chestnut.
Well, Steve had Emma.
Oh yeah, she turned out to be a nice secret.
No, she went to Australia because she's a criminal.
I'm sure there's somebody else that's big that I'm remembering that gets told they got a secret child, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Terry?
But no, he wasn't the secret son.
No, did he have a secret son?
Well,
I'm sure he's got loads.
No,
of them.
he had Tommy, but he knew that Tommy existed. There's somebody major that I'm forgetting, but anyway, yeah, the maybe just for a change, let's have this one come in and be nice. That's what I say anyway. Right, next story. So we've got the Lee Institute story. This got a triple episode this week. So excited. Still minor Rowan appearances. I still love it every time Rowan comes on the screen. He's really great actor, isn't he?
Handsome David.
Everything with him and Toya, absolutely loving it.
They're going to end up shagging, aren't they?
Just imagine that.
Yeah, maybe
it's not leading towards a Nick and Toya affair, and it's actually Toya and Rowan. But he every time that she meets him and she's like completely snarky towards him, he's just able to paint on that smile. He seems completely unfazed. But I'm wondering, like, he probably does have the power to find somebody to bump her off.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He's like...
Does Toya need to be a bit, a bit more
cult
worried?
we won't mention. Like, they would probably send somebody in a van and stick her on a boat.
It's like in that film, The Dictator, with what's the name of the guy who played him? Sacha Baron Cohen. And every time he wants to off someone, he just does that fingers to the neck gesture. Yeah. That's Rowan with Toya if she keeps it up, honestly.
Are we going to vote these episodes this week, Aladdin or Aladdin?
Anyway, great film. If you like that sort of thing.
Film.
Very, very stupid film, The Dictator. That's our non-Corrie recommendation of the week.
Don't watch it.
So, no, it's good. I've never seen the Borat movie, but I enjoyed The Dictator. So,
yes, you have.
I promise I haven't. Toya's in the cafe on Monday, having a look at the Institute online, and she's found an ex-members forum.
This was dumb.
This was a little bit dumb. Coronation Street and technology don't always go brilliantly together. She sees something on this forum and dashes off. She just shuts the lid down and runs off to the bistro and says, Leanne, look at this laptop. I found a post on an ex-Institute members forum. This is a very, very specific forum here.
Beep. Error.
Yeah, she opens up the laptop and the post's not there anymore. Now, how did that happen? Because it was definitely an old school forum, wasn't it? It wasn't some fancy HTML5 or... I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, it wasn't like it was on Twitter or... It's just an old forum.
If you close the laptop and open it up, a post can't be deleted. The page isn't going to refresh then. But apparently it's been deleted and a massive warning message has come up saying, alert, taken down for legal reasons. What I want to know is, what does everybody else post about on an ex-Institute members forum?
Well, she cannot find another one, yeah. She only found one person on the whole site that was slagging him off.
But if you're an ex-Institute member, then surely you've seen the light and you realise they're a bunch of scammers.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody leaves the Institute thinking, oh, what a nice bunch they were. I'll just run out of money.
Well, no, they do, but then they don't go and join a forum.
Well, no, yeah, exactly, they don't. So what was the purpose of this forum other than to slag them off?
Why did she only find one person? That one post was the only proof she had. That's gone.
It doesn't make sense.
And why didn't they give it a bit of time? Like, Monday she finds it, and then she maybe tries to show Leanne, and she mentions it, and then Leanne mentions it to Rowan, and then Rowan gets it taken down. Because as it was...
Oh, okay.
As it was like, within the hour.
I suppose that might have given Toya the thought to screenshot it, which she probably should have done straight away.
I wouldn't have thought of doing that.
Well, I would if I knew that I was working on a laptop that refreshes a page every time I close the lid down. Anyway, so Toya has got no post to be able to show Leanne.
But it doesn't even make any sense because what are we supposed to think? That Leanne's like, oh well, you must have imagined it.
Don't you pick holes in my
it doesn't make
the
any...
Institute story, Gemma.
But
this is award
the point that
happen.
The fact that it was deleted only proves the point that it's sinister. It doesn't prove anything. And what, like, Leanne supposed to be like, oh, it can't have said anything bad?
Yeah, but she doesn't let it drop, does she? She calls Rowan and investigates. She's like, what's going on?
Who does?
Leanne does. She presumes Rowan and talks about the site. What's going on with this post? And he said, oh, that was just written by a bitter ex of mine. He's very quickly trying to change the topic, but she doesn't just let it drop.
Leanne doesn't.
No, she doesn't. She wants to know what's going on. I mean, she's so bewitched by the Institute at the moment that she's going to be, very open to any kind of excuse that Rowan throws her way. And when he says, "Oh, just somebody who hates me, my ex," she's like, "You, that I thought there was something funny going on there." But anyway, he changes the topic pretty quickly to the fact that he's been promoted to the head of the Northwest group of the Autovalent Institute. Hooray! You're going to be seeing more of me, Leanne. Well, I'm hooraying that. Anyway, in fact, I'm having a bash to celebrate my promotion, and I'd love you to come. So this is another thing. What was the other thing that we didn't? Oh, like Bethany going around the nail salon to find Nathan's girlfriend.
We didn't get to go to
the soiree. We didn't get to see it. We didn't see the soiree.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's £200 to get in. They don't let us in.
Well, yeah, but if they put it on pay-per-view, then any financial problems that ITV might be going through at the moment, nice little money maker.
That would be so funny.
I was really excited to see it when Leanne said, "I'm going to a do at the Institute." I think they could have done it.
I want
Can
them
you
to
just
be
imagine
full of
how
balmy
epic
weirdos.
that scene would be? Because we got to see on Wednesday. What was her name? Emma, was it? I can't remember.
The ex.
Whether I'm making this up. The actual ex. And she was as creepy as heck when that reveal came out. And for Leanne to have been mingling in a room with people like this, Nick there as well, squinting away at everyone that walked past him. That could have been brilliant.
It would have been like one of those world building scenes that they have in like sci-fi and fantasy, like the Mos Eisley bar in Star Wars, or like the Goblin bar in Harry Potter, where you just get to observe all the craziness and like people with weird necklaces and talking about auras and downloading and
reality coding.
Yeah, reality coding.
The thing is, if they'd wanted to show that film, they probably would have. Sorry, if they'd wanted to show that scene, that shindig, they probably would have said, "And I've decided to host it at Chariot Square Hotel."
And
exactly.
Debbie would be there going, "Oh, brilliant! This is great."
I would have loved to have seen Debbie's reaction as well. That would have been Nick and Debbie behind the bar going,
No,
"What the
Nick
hell
would have
is
been
this?"
like going, "This is weird," and she'd be like, Nick, I don't ask questions as long as the people pay bills.
While we're talking about Debbie, because I'm worried that I'll forget about this later, she had one of my lines of the week when she was round at, was it when she was round at Kevin's wanting a cup of tea, and she ends up, doesn't get one, and she's like, oh, I'm going to go home and suck on a tea bag then.
Yeah,
oh no, it was
funny.
when she was at the cafe,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I'm going to suck on a tea bag.
Love her.
Brilliant.
She can stay.
There was so much missed potential there, but
Well, we didn't get to see the shindig.
We didn't get, and we're not going to see the retreat. At some point during this story, I need to be fully immersed inside the Institute, because we saw it with the Cult of Nirab story.
Yeah.
There were a few scenes
Creepy
that were
little buildings.
Yeah, there were a few scenes where Ben took Zoe and Ashley, and we got to see inside their world. Here, I'm just hearing about it, and it's supposed to be this big underground organisation, but it feels a little. Not many people know about it, but it feels quite small at the moment, because the only members that we know about of it are Rowan.
Can you imagine if Harry Potter was like, oh, Harry, you've got a letter here from an owl. And then Harry went to school. And when he came back in August, he had so many stories to tell his aunt and uncle.
Yeah, it's like that. Just cut out the middle bit.
You know why they're not, we can't go to see Leanne at the retreat? It's because Coronation Street's been banned from Centre Parks for shooting Lorraine Kelly in the ass with an arrow.
Anyway, I've got some hopes for this story. One of them is that we actually get to see inside their world, and it's absolutely nuts and bonkers.
We need to meet another autovalent convert.
Recruit, yeah.
We need to meet at least one. I want more than one.
Well, we saw his ex on.
No, but she's not in it anymore.
No. But no, I want to be immersed. I don't want one that's not.
I want
enough
Leanne to be like, do you not find this a bit strange? And then to be like, Leanne, I can't believe that you're raising questions at this point. Your reality coding seems to have a virus.
But the other thing that I've been wanting from the beginning is please mention the other cult story. These characters, well, Nick and Leanne at least, were all involved in the last cult storyline on Coronation Street. It would make sense to say, do you remember this? I just want a little name check. I just want a briefest of mentions of Nirab, and then I will be satisfied with whatever else happens in the story. I'd even maybe accept the affair of Nick and Toya if Nirab gets a mention. If they get out his portrait...
For full marks.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to call it Nirab, though, are they? What was it called?
The Etheric Foundation.
Yeah, they'll call it that because, I'm sorry, but the cult of Nirab is just silly.
I just want to mention, please, Coronation Street. You know that we're baying for
What
this.
was it called?
Baying! That was the word that Bethany didn't know earlier, wasn't it?
Was it?
I'm sure it was. Baying for blood.
Oh,
and she was like, what does baying mean anyway?
You should have gone to university.
Anyway, so... shindig's going on. Nick and Leanne come back from it, and they've had a lovely time. Basically, they tell Toya that they got a talk from Willow, who's Rowan's boss. Brilliant. And they saw another couple who were really helped out by the Institute. And Nick is he's not converting, but he's accepting that maybe they're not so bad or as sinister as he initially thought, isn't he? So they're starting to work their magic on him. I don't believe for a second that he actually would in any way be... He's immune to their charms, surely. But anyway, he isn't as suspicious of them as he once was. Maybe... but he does say to Toya, when Leanne's gone, oh yeah, maybe I did over-exaggerate my support of it for Leanne's sake. But oh yeah, honestly, they weren't really so bad. Plus, they're making Leanne happier than she's been since Oliver died. So that counts for quite a lot,
See, that's why we couldn't go to the party, because we needed Nick to be like, these aren't weird people.
I think it is quite sweet on Nick's part that he wants happy for... He wants to make Leanne happy. He wants to see her happy, because if she's... how long has it been since Ollie died? It was pandemic, wasn't it? So coming up to, 3 years now, maybe? If he's seen her be miserable and grieving ever since then, and then this thing comes along that gives her a bit of positivity and hope and happiness, then
Why can't we do this without a cult? That's what I want to know.
yeah. So I didn't mind him too much saying that it was okay, but
Yeah,
I
well.
also liked it at the end of the week when he's like, no, actually, Toya, they are absolutely insane. We need to rescue her. So, Rowan comes into the bistro at the end of Monday's episode. Leanne left a diary at this do.
Why did she take her diary?
I don't know.
What's she doing? Is she writing in the toilet about how much she enjoying herself?
Maybe in her
Do you think
diary
she's
it's
Jane
just like
Austen?
LB heart RC. Ooh, don't let Nick find this. Anyway, he has a bit of a verbal sparring session with Toya and then says, well, Leanne, I've got something else for you. How would you like to come on a 2-week retreat? And she is very tempted. And Toya's like,
No
Rowan,
way.
you utter nutcase. Leanne's on the phone call at this point. And she's like, what are you doing? Leave my sister alone. And he's just like, I wish you well, Toya. Stop trying to spoil your sister's happiness. He's just like totally cool. He knows the exact patter to use because he probably has people coming up and
He's
telling
probably
him
always been told you're a psychopath.
Yeah, and he just knows that just to brush it off,
It's like being
let it wash over you, smile and wish them well.
It's like being a Tory MP.
Yeah.
I
And
wish you well.
so great stuff. Wednesday.
Also, don't forget, he's smug because he knows her secrets because Leanne's been dropping everyone's secrets.
Yeah.
So he's like, look, I'll be nice to you now, but...
Well,
but
has she?
Well,
I don't know
sure,
whether
she's-
Leanne's just been telling him
are you
about...
trying to tell me that in all of her boxes in her secret cabin in the woods, there's not one that's full of Toya's crap?
I suppose stuff that she and Toya might
Yeah.
have done together.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time when we graffitied Alma's poster at Better Buys?
Well, I'm also sure that there would have been a point when she told Rowan, oh, Toya's trying to what's she doing?
Distance.
No, she's trying to... What phrase she used the other week that we all thought was brilliant about dumping in my...
Absorb.
I can't absorb your trauma.
Yeah.
She's like, to probably say to him, like, she's trying to make me absorb the trauma of the fact that she had a baby and she buried it in the woods. And then he'd be like, tell me more. It's interesting.
Yeah,
So
you're
maybe-
right, actually.
Maybe
You're right.
that's where this whole subplot is going, is it's going to end up being blackmail material
Yeah,
for Rowan.
if Rowan finds out.
But to be honest, she already had blackmail material because Leanne's the only person that knows that Toya killed Imran on purpose.
Yeah, she could actually. She has
She
got
could
some.
blow Toya's
She has
life
got
up.
some mega goss on Toya, hasn't
Yeah.
she?
I mean, of all the things Leanne's done, I think that Toya's done worse just in those two things.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that it was, I'm not blaming her for the baby thing. I'm talking about the murder.
So, Wednesday, Simon's back in the story, and
Oh.
he
Didn't really improve
he
it, did
couldn't afford to stick with the institute a few weeks ago, could he?
No, because
But
he's got a business to run.
he's still somewhat involved because he's got this amazing food delivery service business that he wants to set up. And there's somebody at the institute who can apparently help him with some startup tips. And Toya's just like, what? Why are you still doing this, Simon? Why are you... Not just the business side of thing. Why are you going to the institute? This sounds crazy. He comes back later. Another little meeting that we didn't see there, but I'm not too bitter about this one. Apparently it all went well, and he's now saying, well, actually, I might try and sign up for an institute seminar. I kind of miss them. He asks for money to pay for it, and from Nick, I guess. No, from Leanne, I guess. And Noya says, look, they are scamming you, mate. And when Leanne's not watching, Toya swipes her iPad. So, later on, she's in the flat. I wasn't sure what she was doing at this point. I thought that she was getting Rowan's number from it, but it transpires that she was getting Rowan's ex's.
Why has Leanne got Rowan's ex-girlfriend's number?
This is what I didn't get. Because I think that they were just looking on Rowan's Facebook and gets the link from there, but I don't think, let's not think about this too hard. It's just helpful to move that plot along, that Toya is able to get in touch with his ex.
Imagine if Facebook had a button you could press that said, do you want to start some drama? And you click it and you just immediately get call someone's ex.
Yeah.
That would actually
Right
be
next
worth
to the
having
poke
Facebook
button.
for. Yeah.
Do
Do you remember that?
You can't poke people on Facebook
I don't
anymore,
think you can.
you? Don't think so. It's harassment. So, anyway, she hides the iPad when Nick comes in and says, Nick, why are you backing down about the institute? And he's like, they're harmless enough. It's not like they're forcing Leanne and Simon to do stuff. And Toya says, they don't need to. the way that the MO for these kind of people is that they manipulate you into doing it yourself. Tell you what, I am not going to stop until I can find some hard evidence on him. So what her plan is to meet up with Rowan's ex, and she sits down with them in speed dial, where 50-50 chance is Leanne going to walk in there at the time. This time she didn't, but Leanne's like, look, my sister's just signing up to this cult. They're a bit nutty, aren't they? Is Leanne actually in danger here?
No.
And I thought that this caught me right off guard. Did it you?
Yeah, I was expecting her to be like, yeah, Rowan's a psychopath. You need to get her out immediately.
I mean, it was clear when Rowan said, oh, it was my ex that put that hateful post up on the forum earlier. I didn't believe him there. I knew that he was making it up. But when she found this ex, like Toya, I completely assumed that this person had seen the light and was like, get me out of here. But she just switches, doesn't she, to a fairly normal looking character, to someone who is, well, like Toya said, I feel like I've stepped inside the Stepford Wives here. You are not talking sense. You're mesmerised, you're hypnotised, and by Rowan, and she's like, Rowan's a good man.
He's great.
He was a totally amicable split, yeah. And Toya is just left because this woman huffs off, and Toya's like, what the hell is this?
What if the whole twist of this?
Great scene.
What if the whole twist of this is that it's not a cult?
Yeah.
And it's just a perfectly normal
charitable donation, a charitable organisation. Anyway, so Rowan comes into the bistro later on the phone to this ex, and he tells Leanne that Toya's been interfering, and he's like, she's a challenging character, your sister, isn't she? Toya comes in behind him, and Leanne's like, what have you been doing now, Toya? And so Toya says, well, you said that your ex wrote the review, but I've just met your ex-wife, and she seems just as balmy as you are. And Rowan's like, oh, well, I never said it was my ex-wife. I just said it was an ex. It was actually some girls from years back. I love how he had this. And I don't think he was expecting this. He didn't have to have this excuse prepared. He's just so good at lying. He was able to come up with this smooth response. Maybe it was true. I'm not convinced. But he's like, so that's all it was. Yeah. I hope you find peace, Toya. Oh, that's just the thing that you don't want to hear when you're confronted by this sort of people. Yeah. Toya basically gets stuffed.
No, she says get stuffed.
Did she say get stuffed?
Well, you said she did.
I don't know whether she said that. Rowan heads off, Leanne scurrying after him, going, oh, sorry, ignore my sister, she hasn't understood. Toya and Leanne are in the flat later, and she's saying, look, you need to back down from this. She says, Leanne, you're the one that needs to step away from the Kool-Aid.
No, it's Flavour Aid.
What?
It's Flavour Aid.
What? Why
it's
is
Flavour Aid.
What?
It's Flavour Aid.
I don't understand that. I'll ask you later. No, I'm asking now, what do you mean it's Flavour Aid? The phrase is the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I know, but the origin is Flavour Aid.
What do you mean?
Do you know what it means?
Yes, it's that other cult thing where they all drank Kool-Aid.
They didn't. They drank Flavour Aid.
Oh, okay.
And it was poisoned and they died horribly.
Yeah. So why do people say Kool-Aid then?
Because I think they had a better brand name.
I'm sure Kool-Aid aren't happy with
Kool-Aid's
that association.
Doesn't like it. No, Flavour Aid's like, yeah, brilliant. Carry on.
I get away with that
Kool-Aid, I wouldn't drink that.
Okay, there we
go.
Anyway, Leanne comes in and she says, look, I don't want to absorb this negativity anymore. In fact, I've got myself a place on the retreat. On the cheap and everything. 2 weeks without phones, without social media.
You'd go mad, wouldn't you?
I could. Why me? You're on your phone more than I am.
You're the one when
you sit here on your phone while we're recording a podcast.
You're the one when we go camping. You won't go unless there's Wi-Fi.
I'd rather not.
Exactly. What do you think a retreat is?
Okay. Fair enough.
If I was going on a retreat and they said no phones or social media, I'd be like, great, cool. Fine, that's fine with me.
Oh, I wouldn't like it.
I know. See, you're such a bloody cheek. You are.
Okay. Well, I am doing a bit of camping with school in a couple of weeks' time, and I can't remember what the reception's like. I'm not even because we're camping as well. I'm not even going to have a phone port in our tent. You got to charge it inside. It's terrible.
That sounds terrible. I
know. I'm not going to be able to watch Corrie or anything for a week. Beginning of July, everybody. Look out for that one. Anyway, even Nick is starting to get a little bit worried about this whole retreat idea. Whereas me, I'm like, I just can't wait to see what she's like when she comes back.
Yeah, because she was kind of serene for a bit, wasn't she? And then she went really prickly. And so maybe she'll come back. What's she going to come back like?
I mean, I kind of want it to be a little bit like in the cult episode of The Simpsons where Lisa's saying this is a load of rubbish, can't you see they're being brainwashed? And then the guy takes her out of the room and then she comes back and she's like, we love the leader. And she needs to be just that little bit more clearly brainwashed. Because at the moment she's not coming across as brainwashed, she's just coming across as somebody who thinks that these guys have got the answers.
Maybe it's going to be in the way that she interacts with Toya. Maybe she's going to parrot what Rowan says, and like whenever Toya says something, she'll be like, I hope you find peace, Toya.
Yeah, that kind of thing. She's already parroting Rowan a bit. I kind of just want her to be like this ex was, you know?
Just do Lally.
She needs to have lost something that made her Leanne before. I mean, it's clearly she's not going to stay this way. The last cult story ended really quite darkly because poor Zoe Tattersall ended up being whisked away with them, and that's the last we heard of them, and we're still waiting 25 years later to find out what's happened.
Amazing would it be to find out that, what was it called?
The Etheric
Foundation has turned into the Ultraviolet Institute, and Joanne Froggatt is actually in charge.
This is my dream for the story. If the out and
what's the name of the guy? He was in
Burn Gorman.
Yeah, imagine if he comes back.
Well, that honestly,
I think he's too camp for this story. He was great though,
too
wasn't he?
Camp?
Yes.
This is a totally camp story.
No, in a different way.
No, they wouldn't do that. As much as Ian McLeod is enjoying bringing back characters left, right and centre in 2024, I think it would be a stretch to expect Burn Gorman and Joe Froggatt.
I don't think they can afford
I don't think they can
Froggatt
afford
now.
either of those at the moment, to be fair. Maybe Burn, I don't know.
And if you don't know who that is, she's the maid from Downton Abbey.
Yeah, I think she's got
other
making a
things to
third
do.
Downton Abbey.
They said that they were, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be the dream.
I
mean, I want it just to get a mention. But
sorry, I can't do the third Downton Abbey film because I'm going to be in Coronation Street as a cult leader.
Be back in Corrie again. Oh, gosh, I would love that so much. Anyway, on Friday, Leanne's packing to go. Nick says, look, is Rowan going to be there? He's clearly mega jealous of the fact that she's going to be spending more time with him. He's like, you already spend more time with him than you do me at the moment. She's like, oh, don't be silly. What's she say? I sleep with you, I eat with you, nag at you,
pull your hair out the butt plug hole.
Yeah, you count yourself lucky. Don't be so insecure, Nick. And Toya's there as well, begging her not to go. She's like, I need you. I'm going through trauma. Remember that? Remember
you were fine a minute ago.
Remember the baby bush thing? She says, look. She basically says they are taking you hostage. They're taking your phone hostage. And Leanne says, well, people go on yoga trips and they have their phones with them. It's fine, don't worry. She hurries out the flat because she just doesn't want to engage in this. She does not want to absorb Toya's negativity at the moment or skepticism about the whole thing. And Nick says,
oh dear, that.
Oh dear, says Nick.
Go easy on her.
Yeah. Bistro later. Simon's on a break. This part of the story on Friday was a little kink to it that I wasn't at all interested in. I thought that the Simon becoming an alcoholic story was just to facilitate that car crash with Sam story, you know? Mm-hmm. But apparently they're back again. There's like, don't forget, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, and Simon's on that slippery slope now. But the story basically goes today that he gets himself drunk. Then
he's on a break.
He's on a break, gets drunk. Nick has a nag at him for being drunk in front of the customers. So he goes off somewhere, and Nick and Leanne have to tour around Weatherfield trying to find him. Nick and Toya, have to tour around Weatherfield trying to find him. And who'd have thought that he's at the only other place in Weatherfield outside of Coronation Street area that everything else happens in at the moment? That's right, the precinct. He's passed out there, and there's some people trying to nick his wallet.
Then we had this weird,
there's a bit of a Chuckle Brothers scene,
everyone's
wasn't it?
shuffling about. There were two guys with a sofa, and it looked a bit like they were trying to recreate the scene just before James Bailey had a heart attack. Like dancing around with legs. Yeah, anyway.
Simon's fine,
why
but
were there
he's just...
two men with a sofa?
Maybe they're clearing out Lauren's flat still. Maybe. Anyway, that was basically it. Simon gets drunk and because he's sick, and then he's sick in Tim's car, and nothing much particularly. But he's now with his dad away and his mum away. He's going off the rails even more. Was there anything else particularly?
Nick just panics.
Yeah. Was there anything else particularly with Nick and Toya? I mean,
no.
That we got a mention of Leanne and her magic feathers, didn't we? Which is what she was holding on to after Ollie died.
Oh, Leanne, and do you remember Leanne and all that stuff with the white feathers? And I thought she said the white feathers.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what
Leanne
do you
and
mean?
The white feathers.
What for? Oh, was this the escort stuff?
Nick tries to phone her and Rowan as well in the episode, doesn't he? He can't get through to them, so they have completely cut contact. I would be terrified if I was Nick at this point.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I thought it was slightly out of character how hysterical Nick got about this.
But he had been, I mean, up until going to see Willow's talk the other day, he'd been just as sceptical about the whole thing as Toya.
I know, but I just thought he was kind of panicking, and it kind of felt like it escalated really quickly, and Nick's usually a bit more level-headed than that.
I suppose there wasn't anything after Leanne left that made him think, oh no, this is actually bad.
Well, I mean, Simon getting drunk, I just don't think that it's panic stations shrieking that this is the end of the world kind of... I mean... He obviously, it's not his kid, and he had fallen out with him because of the car crash that put Sam in danger. But I just thought he kind of, you know what I mean? It could have been, you know, dialed back very slightly and been a bit more convincing.
Yeah.
But he just kind of threw a tantrum because his wife's not there to fix everything for him, even though she's not his wife.
I'm kind of wondering in the back of my head, is Leanne going to be back in 2 weeks? Because if he's expecting her, when's 2 weeks? After Britain's Got Talent week and all the drama there. So first week of June she's due back. If she doesn't come back, Nick can't get hold of her, can't get hold of Rowan. I guess can't get hold of anyone to do with the Institute. Although he knows where to go now he's been to that other shindig. That could be quite fun, and then there's a missing Leanne story.
Oh,
but maybe
it's
too close to missing Lauren. I'm not sure, but that could be fun. Anything else? Not sure really, but just great. Absolutely brilliant. I adore everything related to this story, apart from maybe the Simon side of things. I'm looking forward to Leanne's birthday, because that's coming up in a month and a half. Hint, hint, my birthday's coming up in a month and a half.
What's that got to do with anything?
I just wonder with the state of mind that she will be in by July, hopefully completely gone, like, is she going to... Is Rowan going to give her a wonderful gift? If Nick's kind of worried that she's going to be having an affair with Rowan, isn't she? Is it her birthday that Rowan convinces her to go to bed with him?
Is that what you think this is about?
Well, maybe. And I'm also wondering, with Leanne out of the picture, will this be the opportunity for this affair between Nick and Toya to happen? Because if they're both kind of worried together, there's the risk that they're going to seek solace and comfort in each other's arms, and she obviously won't be there to, walk in on them running away on the sofa or whatever they choose to do. I mean, I know Toya likes a good desk from her time with Imran.
That's not.
But I'm just still sad that I'm loving this story so much, and the potential of an affair could just come in and completely crash it and throw it out the window, and then I will hate it.
What's the point of it? I just want to know who is actually in charge of the Institute, because Rowan's not even...
Well, no, the fact that he got promoted to the head of the Northwest...
And Willow is his boss.
Yeah.
So she must have a boss. I
kind of was under the impression before this week that he was
the
main man.
No.
Yeah,
so what's going on there then?
Yeah. I think it's probably Mr. Griffin from Weddy High, and that's why we've not seen him around, and he's left Orla in charge.
Well, it's very lucrative to start a cult.
Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe you needed a...
Pays more than being a head teacher.
Maybe you started a cult to try and up the school funds. And now all this money is just going to be channelled back into Weatherfield High to buy some new interactive whiteboards
You just
or
imagine,
TAs.
like, the climax of this story is him going to Toya. He's, like, got a gun. He's going, Toya, you don't understand. There are no pencils.
Won't somebody think of the children?
We need money to fund the school trip.
Who knows? Who knows? Lots of fun.
Nobody's buying jam anymore.
Let's do the Webster's website story. Abby and Kevin, story again. Debbie back from the brink of nothingness because we haven't seen... I think we've only seen her... I think she's been like fewer than 10 episodes this year. It's nuts. What's going on? Why is Debbie being underused so much?
Well,
is
on
she
Wednesday...
that expensive, Sue Devaney?
Kevin's complaining to Debbie that the work at the garage is dried up, and she tells him he's not enticing customers or being proactive because he doesn't even have a website. And she asks Max, because who better to help you with your image than a white supremacist propaganda expert?
I know.
Who sent a man to prison because he was so convincing at making videos.
Yeah, is he going to have his name at the bottom, like designed by Max Turner?
Well, just imagine all these...
Brackets, I've reformed now. I repent.
He had such amazing... Like, he was so convincing when he made that video. I can just imagine if they actually pay him the £1,000 he wants, like a whole line of people queuing up outside Webster's, like, I have to get my tyres fixed by Webster's Autos. I don't know why, but I'm so convinced.
Yeah.
Anyway, Debbie gets Max to say how great having a website is, and he then does this thing he did before where he's like, I'll take some photos for the website, and Kevin poses for them, and on Friday he shows Kevin and Abby the prototype website that he's made, and they're not really sure about the photo that he selected, but they're impressed with the concept.
I don't really get what was wrong with the photo. It was just Kevin bending over the bonnet of a car. It seemed fine.
I also don't think I ever really have gone on a website for a garage. We just phone the garage up. Like, where's the local garage for the car that I own?
I mean, I think it's fair to say that a garage like Kevin's probably should have some kind of online presence, even if it's just
a Facebook page.
A Facebook page is better than nothing.
You don't need to spend £100 on setting up a Facebook page.
Oh, you don't need to spend £1,000, that's for sure.
Well, anyway, they're very impressed with this, but Max is trying to charge him $1,000, and he wants £100 just for the prototype that he's made.
The whole problem at the moment is Kevin doesn't have any money. That's what's causing all this. So of course he's not going to want to be paying him £1,000. He's not exactly flush.
You can tell that Kevin doesn't listen to podcasts. Because
Why?
they know that Squarespace is the place to go for a website that helps your business.
I was thinking that Squarespace does appear a lot on adverts. He clearly doesn't watch YouTube either.
No.
Because I'm led to believe that they're very simple to set up a professional looking at a website.
Even troglodyte moron mechanics like Kevin, who don't even know the internet exists, can make their own website in
Do you think
just
we
5
should
minutes.
do that?
We've already got a website.
Yeah, I know, but it's a bit, you know.
Well, you said it, not me. I didn't do anything to do with it.
I don't think people need to go on our website very much.
No. Right, so Abby gets a call from Australia.
Ooh.
The siblings are coming in 3
Charlie
weeks.
and Lexi.
Yeah.
But are they, though? I
don't
hope
know.
so. I really, really hope that we get to see them again. They're like a once in a 3-year appearance. It's like, you know, the programmes that they used to show where they track children and they revisit them every 5 years or so and say, oh, look how they've grown.
Look, they're taller now.
Yeah. So I only want to see Charlie and Lexi if they're played by the same actors. I'm not interested if they're different ones, honestly.
Well, anyway,
But I hope they do more than they did the last time they came to Weatherfield was that Christmas. Do you remember a few years ago?
Yeah.
Literally, there was a huge build
ran
up
up the
to
road.
saying, oh, they're coming. They ran up the road, played some board games with them during a musical montage, and that was it.
Waste of time. Right, so that's what I'd say if I was Abby. Don't bother coming next time, kids. Waste of time. Right,
You got a personality yet? If not, don't want to know.
Kevin's moaning to Tim about how much of a rip-off merchant Max is. Then we get to see the number 13 set for the first time in ages, which is Kevin's house. Jack's there, first time we've seen him in ages. Kevin's looking up himself how to make a website. Then he gets distracted by the Wethy County forum. Then he sees something very shocking. Gets Sally round, shows her, And it's the fact that Corey, who is the murderer of Abby's son, Seb, he is in the news because he's captaining a prison football team or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin's like really shocked and worried that Abby's going to find out about this. I mean, I assume she will because it's a soap.
She'll get mad about it.
But I don't know, in real life, would I think that just because I've seen something on a forum that my wife is absolutely not going to be visiting, would I be worried that she would find out about it?
But also,
not really.
I know that she's sad and he was horrible and evil and stuff, but is he just never allowed to do anything?
Yeah, exactly. You're not allowed.
I don't know. Well, he's not. It's not like he's ever going to be a professional footballer now, is he?
No.
I mean, you're allowed to go around and assault women and stuff, but murder a man, and you can never be allowed to be a footballer professionally.
Yeah, I'm yet to see why.
Why is this such such terrible, earth-shattering, devastating news? It's just to remind her that he exists.
I suppose, if we think about how Bethany reacts every time that she sees Nathan, are we going to have that with Abby?
I mean, I wouldn't like it either, but what can you do about it?
And it's not like he's out
and
he's
just doing
playing football in the park. He's in prison.
I mean, he's being praised for things, but...
Yeah, I guess
he's good at football.
I guess so. If it's like, Weatherfield Prison's upcoming new...
wonderful man.
But if I was Abby, I'd be like, I don't care. He's still in prison.
Yeah,
and he can rot there as far as I'm concerned.
Play as much football as he wants.
Yeah.
He's not getting out. You don't get out because you're good at football.
Yeah. So anyway, Kevin thinks that that's terrible. And
Max turns back up at the garage and he's badgering him again. Do you want to renegotiate the fees?
Yeah, I don't know what the going rate for a website is, but honestly, £1,000 did sound like quite a lot.
£1,000 sounds like a farcical amount.
For somebody like Max is not a professional web designer.
I would
He's
pay,
just a neighbour.
If I asked a company with a designer and a coder and a copywriter to design my website from start to finish, and they said £1,000, I say, okay, that sounds like the sort of money that you would charge. He's not charging VAT, is he?
No, he's just a teenage neighbour. He's taking the mick.
He's not just a teenage neighbour. He's an ex-con white supremacist. He's got to give you a bit of a discount for that.
You should be grateful for any work that you'd be putting in.
So I tell you what, you do it for £100 and you can put it on your portfolio.
I mean, I'm wondering at this point how much the story is even going to be about the website. If this is the Corey story. Is Corey going to come back?
Max involved.
So sometimes characters just seem to be involved in things because they haven't done anything for a while, and maybe this is the case. But he did do the factory website, as you alluded to earlier. But if this story is about Abby and Corey, is he going to come out? Is it going to be a restorative justice story? Is it just going to wind her up and niggle her? Then maybe the whole website angle doesn't matter at all, and it was just an excuse for Kevin to go on a forum. I'm not sure. But
he could have gone on a forum without
any of them. Yeah, I know. So I don't know. I don't think I'm sure we'll forget that the website exists before long. Maybe you might even have a website because he's not going to pay Max. Right. So the Demi Moore storyline. This ran all week as well, didn't it? This is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Steve's banging on about Demi still in the cab office to Tim. He's like, yeah, we've booked a meal at the bistro later. Maybe we're going to play GTA together later. It's not a multiplayer game, Tim, but nice try with the reference there, writers. Steve, sorry, yeah. And
Steve's idea of playing a game with a girl is probably not evolved since he was a teenager. He just means, I'll play the game and you watch me.
Do you want some of my glass of water? Because yours is empty. Anyway, Tim's looking a bit shadily at the Gazette there, because apparently they've commissioned a new bust of Tommy O at the stadium, and that's Steve off on a massive rant.
Just like in real life, all the football news is about shady assholes.
Why did they make him Is he?
He was the main striker.
He was the main striker, wasn't he? I suppose
he did the most goals.
But he also had a fruit machine scandal, so I don't know whether you'd still want to be associated with him. Who knows? Anyway, Demi is fairly patient on Monday with Steve because he just won't. I love how they talk about. I think it was Wednesday that Steve calls Tommy "he who must not be mentioned." Yet throughout this date on Monday, he can do nothing but mention Tommy because he's been seeing all the adventures that Tracy's been getting up to with him. What is it, like paragliding and water skiing and all that kind of stuff?
I cannot imagine Tracy doing any of those things.
Steve takes the opportunity to tell Demi about the affair between Tracy and Tommy, and she basically just spends the evening boring her to death.
Well, because she didn't know that there was a link between him and Tommy O.
No.
She's like, he hasn't done anything to you, and it's like, oh, wait till you hear this.
Yeah, she gets fed up and leaves, and this is twice that she's fed up with Steve's immaturity, I guess, this week.
But his sexual magnetism always brings her back.
So he's just left looking fairly fed up with himself as she leaves. And then Wednesday there was just a couple of scenes. It was Steve going on about Demi, but actually it was more to do with the fact that he was pining after Tracy, and so Tim does a little bit of romantic engineering by going to see Demi and telling her how great Steve was. So this is all leading up to Friday, and Sally is used so sparingly at the moment, isn't she? But whenever they wheel her out, absolute gold. So the story starts on Friday. We got a scene in the cafe, maybe, or the cab office, I can't remember. Tim with Sally telling her all about Demi and how she lived in Hale Barnes. And Sally is like, oh, really? This is interesting. She was just fantastic. Sally immediately picks up on the fact that there's a well-off Cheshire dwelling estate agent that she's got potential to rub shoulders with, and she can't meet her quick enough.
Sally is the Professor Slughorn of Coronation Street.
She totally is.
I don't know why I've got so many Harry Potter references.
I know, you're full of them today. So Sally sees Steve and Demi pulling up in her Swiss sports car later, and Sally like trots over the cobbles like, hello, and introduces herself. And Demi says, oh, nice to meet you. You can come round our house for dinner. And Sally's like, oh, yes, it's like all the Christmases that come at once. And Steve says, oh, you can just go around my house if you want. And Sally's like a little bit deflated by this, but she's grinning through it. What was it? There was that scene where Demi and Steve do this little kissy nose rub thing, and Sally's just there grinning manically behind him like, I'm part of this.
She's like, oh, I want to be the kissy. I want to kiss too.
I've got a new friend and she's rich. And so when the dinner party comes round, this was one of these scenes that I haven't got many notes written for it because I just wanted to sit and watch it. It was Jonathan Harvey, the second half of today's episode. So he wrote this scene, and it was just pure peak Sally at her snobby, simpering best, just desperately trying to get Debbie's attention by trying to show off to her. Even though she knows that what Debbie's got is surely so much bigger and better and copious than everything Sally's got.
No, we're like each other. We're the same.
Yeah, she is. But she says, she's talking about, I've got a conservatory. We've got a summer house. We got a hot tub. I've got an LGBTQ plus daughter. You got one of those, Demi? And Demi is there just like,
don't care.
Whatever. She's like trying to act impressed to be polite, but you can tell that she is no way won over by Sally's act here. It was hilarious though. Sally then is quite surprised to hear that it was Steve who made the fancy grub. What is it that they have? Tabbouleh. What was it that Sally was calling it?
Yeah.
Tabbouleh or something, I don't know. And Demi says, oh, I'd just be serving up cheese on toast if it was in my house. So I don't know what Sally
does
thinks.
This all the time though, don't they? They have like just somebody who proves how much more superior they are by being humble.
Yeah. And Sally's response to the cheese on toast line is, oh yeah, I'm a very big fan of a weeping Stilton myself. All of this is going on, and Steve takes a sneaky pick of these two ladies together because earlier in the shop, Dev's talking to Steve about all the pictures he's putting of him and Demi online, but not tagging her. I don't really
didn't get where this was
what's
going.
happening with that. If someone can explain us what's happening
Well,
with the
she
tags,
doesn't
clearly...
like to see. She sees that he's done this photo. I think
Yeah.
something's going on with her, and not wanting to be on social media.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm a bit confused about what's going on here.
Well, I'd be honestly, I'd find that creepy. I don't like it when people take my picture anyway, but I'd find it incredibly rude if I was having a meal with somebody and they didn't ask me if they could take my picture, and then they uploaded it to the internet with a caption.
Especially if it's so early in their
Yeah.
dating relationship. He's only known her for 2 weeks. We also... I like the bit where Demi's come down from the loo and Sally then starts talking about toilet flushes. Like, she's run out of everything else to talk about how wonderful her life across the street is. Like, you should come round and see our toilet flush, Demi.
Yeah.
What was the other... I liked the line where she said, sometimes I feel that we live on the posh side of the street, but sometimes I feel almost a little bit jealous. I think that maybe this is the nicer side of the street because you get to open your curtains every morning and look at our houses.
I thought that was so funny. And
Sally Dinnerman must have had a great time doing that.
We've got to semi-Demi.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant scene. When Demi at the end of the episode was a bit like, well, I'm going now, Steve. She's twice now. She's realised that Steve is still definitely holding a torch for Tracy.
But what's bringing her back? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I said, sexual magnetism of Steve McDonald.
Is the idea that Steve's posting these pictures of him with this lovely girl online supposed to make Tracy jealous?
Yeah.
So maybe that's what brings her back? I don't know.
No, what do you mean? Why would she care about that?
Maybe she just realises, this isn't a life for me. Maybe
I don't get what you're saying now.
Well, maybe when Tracy sees her husband with another woman, she gets a bit jealous herself and then comes back.
Point, yeah. I don't get what you're saying.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so Demi leaves. She's not too happy with Steve, but every time she goes, I'm like, no, I want them to stay together forever. And Sally is the extra in this now, absolutely brilliant. And I love how she's told Tim that now that he's allowed to see Steve as much as they want, if she gets a chance to be snooty with Demi. What I want,
I want her to show Demi a picture of her sofa that she had.
What sofa?
Do you remember that red lips sofa?
Was that hers? I thought that was Kevin's.
Oh.
I don't remember.
I remember her... Didn't she think it was great, or did she hate it?
I don't remember. I think there is definitely a lot more potential in this story for comedy scenes. Clearly it's not an A story, it's not a long runner, but we need to have a scene where Sally takes Demi round her house. What do you think that Demi would think? Would she wouldn't be impressed, would she? I think she'd probably think, because it feels like Demi is common but rich. And she would probably think that Sally was trying too hard, which she is with some of her decor. But
She's not trying too hard. She's got a very nice house.
There's definitely some untapped potential there. It was a little bit like when we had the story last year where Aggie pretended that number 4 was her house, and that woman, I can't remember her name.
Annabella. Yeah, that was the name of the actress.
Yeah, when she came around and Aggie was saying, "Oh, look at my lovely house." So that could be fun, and I would like to see Sally going round to Demi's house and being completely floored by how massive and rich it is. But that involves
another in her fridge.
That involves going to another location shoot, and maybe they've used up all that budget by going to Kit's house this week, so maybe it's not possible.
It's a shame that Kit and Demi aren't together.
Yeah.
I just looked it up in it was a red leather lip sofa that Sally hated until Alia told her it was expensive.
Oh, is that okay? I wonder whether Demi's going to dump Steve, and then Sally's role in this is going to be to try and get them back together again, just so that she can have a rich friend. She doesn't care about whether Steve's going out with somebody. She just wants to claw onto having... She's never had, well, not for a long time, a rich person that she could maybe be friends with. So more of that, please. That would be fantastic. Finally, just really, there was a little bit of the Will story there, wasn't there, this week? I barely even remember what happened here. But basically, George has decided to give Glenda a cheque for £22,000 to show that there's no hard feelings. You can buy little big shots now. And Glenda's like, well, better late than never, and then swoops off. And we find out at the end of the episode that Estelle's not selling up little big shots anymore for some reason. So she's going to use this money to sue George for every penny he's got.
Oh.
I don't like that. It just makes Glenda look like a really vindictive, nasty cow, doesn't she? When she's not.
I thought George was being a bit of a chancer, giving a cheque for 22 grand.
I thought that was nice.
It's not half the business. Is it?
It's not half the business, but I am slightly on. I understand if he's saying this. The will that we went with is just what it was. The problem, like we said before, is that this probably should have come up years ago, and for some reason it didn't. But I think it's pretty unfair if she's now going to sue him, and yeah, it's seeing a side of Glenda that I don't really like.
It's easy for you to say because your life wouldn't be changed if somebody gave you half a business, like half a funeral.
What do you mean? Well,
you have a house, you have a job, you have a stable life. Glenda doesn't have a house of her own, does she?
No.
She doesn't. She works in a pub, and that's all fine. But that money would be so much more life changing. I know it would significantly improve our lives, yes, but it's not like we're in her position she is.
No, but I just wish that the characters would be able to talk it through and
that's
not
the point of a soap.
Not go to the extremes of suing each other. This
She's
sibling
not gonna sue
pair
him.
that up to this point we were supposed to believe were actually pretty close.
To me, this is going to end up exactly like what happened when Ardy pledged revenge on Dev. Like, he said he's going to do it, and then he didn't.
Just kind of blows out. Okay, right. We have come to the part of the podcast where we rate the week and pick the character of the week, which we forgot to do last week.
Oh,
we had a
no.
couple of people writing in and say, you didn't mention the character of the week. We just completely forgot. Maybe we should start off with the character of the week. Do you have anybody whose praises you would particularly like to sing this week?
Okay.
I mean, I would say it was a fairly strong week, so there's quite a few to choose from.
It's not going to be anybody from the grooming storyline. They're all a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think there's anyone who particularly stands out as being the best there.
Is it Demi? Is it Sally? I think Sally was so good today.
Would that really cover the whole week though? When she was only in it one,
I've given it to people for one scene. I mean, who was it that won an Oscar for one scene?
Yeah, okay,
So,
okay.
If you can do that, then you can get character of the week.
She was very, very strong. I mean, I thought Toya was great again. I really enjoyed Bernie. She's always a reliable one.
Bernie was great.
Kit was good. Swain when she told him off.
Well, she was only in one scene.
Steve was great. There were lots of strong characters. Maybe I'm edging towards Sally though. Maybe you're right. Just because how much I loved that stuff today.
She was like on fine form, absolutely top peak Sally. That was.
I think I'm going between Bernie and Sally. I'm gonna go Sally just because we haven't seen much of Sally recently, and she sparkled tonight. Love it. I am gonna give this week's Coronation Street four semicolons in Roy's text messages out of 5. What about you?
I'm gonna give it 4 sucked tea bags.
4 sucked tea bags. Lovely. And then piled in a lovely pile afterwards. Oh, great. Well, good week this week. Let's keep them coming, Coronation Street. More, please. And yeah, at least up until the run up to Britain's Got Talent week, let's have another good one, because last week's Street Talk was a little bit of a moan fest. It's so much better when we enjoy it, isn't it? Isn't it? Come on.
Nobody sets out to write an episode you're not gonna like.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes
you're not that important.
It's kind of, you break my heart.